Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this Tampa City Council meeting to order. At this time, I yield to Councilmember Carlson for the invocation.
Good morning, everyone. I have Bill Mitchell Sr. here. He'll stand up here in a second. Bill practices in the first party property division of the Tampa office of Conroy Simberg, PA, practicing primarily in the areas of first and third party property loss disputes and property coverage matters. Bill is also a member of Conroy Simberg's Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Prior to joining Conroy Simberg, Mr. Mitchell worked for the statewide defense firm Grohl Salmon. Also, he previously spent 15 years working for the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service in aerospace maintenance. During this time, he deployed over 700 days in support of the ongoing global war on terrorism. Since moving to Tampa in 2007, Mr. Mitchell has become an engaged community leader and advocate for a number of causes, including cancer research and treatment, military veterans, and members of the reserve component of the armed forces. So we'll do, if everyone will stand, we'll do the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. If y'all join me in a word of prayer, start us off. Lord God, we humbly come to ask for your blessings on the City Council meeting. First, we want to thank you for all that you've done for us and for your abundant blessings that we are surrounded by every single day. Thank you for this tiny part of your beautiful world that we call Tampa. Thank you for our community leaders. Thank you for our fellow citizens, our council members, our city employees, and those who play a part in improving this amazing part of the world that we are so happy to call home. Thank you for the opportunities and for freedoms. Thank you for our first responders. Bravery continues to inspire us. Thank you for our elected officials who are our voice in our government. And thank you for the natural beauty that we enjoy every day. Lord, there is so much suffering in this world, and we often struggle to understand it. Please help us and help us to trust you, and help us to lessen some part of that suffering to those around us or in our world today. Help us to improve the lives of those around us and to be examples of your abundant and amazing love. You're the best friend that we could ever ask for, that we could ever have. Help us to be good friends to those around us. Now, Lord, we pray that you would bless this meeting and the work of this city council. Guide the thoughts, words, and actions of those present here. Help this meeting to be effective, productive, helpful, and possibly on agenda. And we ask all these things in your holy name. Thank you and amen.
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 I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Carlson. Here. Hurtak.
Here.
Clendenin.
Here.
Henderson.
Present.
Vieira. Miranda.
Here.
Maniscalco.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Before we go into, may I have a motion to adopt the minutes from February 1st, 2024 and February 8th, 2024? Motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Before we go into housekeeping, I'd like to wish Major Eric DeFelice with District 3 a very, very happy birthday. He's not here, but if he's watching, happy birthday to the gentleman. All right.
Happy birthday.
Yes. I know. So I have a couple of items to go over. I have a memo received from Councilmember Clendenin that he will need to leave at noon today for an event and will return after the event. So more than likely, I will be breaking for lunch at or around 12 o'clock. I have a memo received from Councilmember Vieira that he will be late about 45 minutes or so due to a funeral this morning that he is attending. I have a memo received from Councilmember Carlson requesting that item number 1 be continued to May 2nd. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, so moved.
I have a question about that. We've continued it several times.
Wait, we have a motion from Councilmember Carlson,
Yes.
second from Councilmember Clendenin. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, are they here? Can they talk about it? It's just ceremonial.
No, I have the same concern. Between the CRA and the city council, back in September, we asked them to present in November, and they agreed they weren't ready, so we switched it to December and they weren't ready, so we switched to January and they're not ready. Now they're not ready in February. We've cleared the hurdles for them to fix the Jackson House, and that no plan has been presented yet on what they're gonna do.
Okay.
So I would,
Well, I just want the public to hear that.
yeah,
you
I
know,
would
instead
ask
of
them
it
to,
here being
I would ask them to come with a plan that, at this date that we've set. Again, we've continued it 4 or 5 times. If they don't have a plan, they're partnering with the History Center and USF. They really should turn project over to one of those 2 entities so that we can get this done. I drove by yesterday and it's falling apart worse than ever. It's not gonna last a few more months.
Okay.
We have a
Thank you.
motion from Councilmember Carlson, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor, this is to continue? Aye. Any opposed? All right, I have a memo received from the Purchasing Department requesting to remove item 16 from the agenda. May I have a motion? We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to take item number 43 first after public comment. Let me just take a look at it real quick. Right, that is regarding Memorial Park Cemetery. That is a public hearing. You can speak to it then, or you can speak to it during public comment. Either way, it's coming up right after public comment. All right, I'm going to go through staff reports at this time. There is no administration update. I have a memo received from Councilmember Vieira requesting that item number 60 be continued to the April 18th meeting. May I have a motion to that effect? We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. We have, let's see, a request to move item number 65 to be heard first under staff reports. So we will do that. All right. I have a memo from Osea Wynn requesting that item 66 be continued to March 28th. May I have a motion to that effect?
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Item 66,
Yes, ma'am.
what if I want to keep it on the agenda? What do you do?
I don't think she's ready to present on it.
Well, but the chief of staff is here, he can talk about it. This is kind of old.
Is that all right, Chief Bennett?
Morning, council. Good morning, public. John Bennett, Chief of Staff. I'm always willing to talk in support of moving city business forward. However, there's additional stakeholders. Osea Wynn's the lead of this. Legal's involved as well as the budget office. So I can try and aggregate all those conversations and have a conversation about where we're at, or I could simply tell you now, either way.
Okay, because it was on the consent agenda a few months ago. We moved
It was, and it moved, and then it wasn't finalized by our partner agency, and so I asked why, and then I found out, deconstructed it, worked with legal, gave it to the portfolio to update, and they're working on that now. So,
Okay.
Wait, Councilmember Carlson had his hand up.
I feel the same way that we shouldn't keep kicking it down the road. However, my understanding of what's going on is that there's some behind-the-scenes negotiations going on. This could potentially end up in litigation, and so I want to make sure that that all the Ts are crossed before it comes up. So I would be in favor of the continuance just for that.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion to continue from Councilmember Clendenin, is that correct? Yes. And the second was from Councilmember Hurtak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let me go through the staff reports before.
Item number 49 wants to be withdrawn, and 50 wants to be continued.
Wait. We have been
Oh.
requested, how do you know?
Sorry.
We have a request to hold this until 10:30,
What?
about withdrawing it and continue it, 49 and 50, but we have to wait till 10:30, when the public hearing's open. All right, I'm gonna go through staff reports here. We have no administration update. We're gonna take item number 65 first under staff reports. Item number 52, yes, I would like somebody here. All right, so that's a yes. Item number 53, this is part 2 of, I'm sorry, this is part 1 of 2 with 54. Do we need somebody here? No? All right. Item number 54, it's part of 53? No? All right, item number 55, yes? Yes. Thank you very much. Item number 56? All right, that is a yes. Item number 57, we have a written report. This is Councilmember Vieira's motion. I'm gonna, let's just hold, let's just put a yes on it, and unless Councilman Vieira says differently when he gets here. Another one is a written report for 58, but I'm going to hold off on continuing it, so I'll do a yes because it's Councilman Vieira as well. Item number 59, yes, I'm going to say because Councilman Vieira as well. 60 we've discussed. 61.
Yes.
All right. Yes, we've received a lot of, Item 62? This is your motion, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm actually fine with the written report. It was very clear, and I think all we have to do is just say we want it to move forward. So I don't know that I need staff for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we will hold for a motion, just to,
Motion to receive and file, or just?
or to figure out what we need to do next. I mean, the report
right.
was very clear,
Okay.
but we still need to make a decision on which direction
right.
we want to go.
So I'll put a yes with 62. Item number 60.
We don't need staff.
You don't
We just
need
need to
staff?
make,
Oh,
we just
okay.
need to make a decision.
Okay, all right. Item number 63.
The memo was sufficient, but there's a resolution that came with the memo that's under draft. Attorney
Mr.
Shelby?
Shelby.
Yes.
There's an ordinance that is provided for council's consideration.
Right.
Yeah, that if council wishes to choose, after taking this item up, to go forward, that would be a motion to put it on for a future agenda for first reading.
All right, so we'll say yes, and we'll hold
Correct.
it, and at
Thank
that
you.
time, we'll bring up the motion. Item number 64. There is a previously submitted memorandum. The original motion is by Councilmember Henderson. Would you like somebody present for 64?
64, no. I want someone present. 63, well, 48 is the one that we have to vote on, so,
Yeah.
but 64, no.
64,
Let me take a
no.
look again.
All
I
right.
did my homework, but let me just look
Well,
at
that is,
the number.
I think that's the ordinance that's associated with the discussion of 63. Maybe I'm mistaken. No?
No.
All right.
Yes, someone can be here for 64.
Okay, yes on 64, and then 65?
Yes.
Yes.
one up.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. At this time,
Well,
may,
I have one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Item number 2, I want to add it to staff, unfinished business. It's ceremonial, but I want to add it to the agenda for staff. Is that okay?
For discussion,
Yes, for discussion.
rather than take it up under presentation.
Well, they're going to present, but
Right.
I want
you want to discuss it after?
I want to discuss it under,
Okay.
I guess, under unfinished business?
All
Unfinished
right,
business?
so we're going to have the presentation by the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, but then we can discuss it later on as well,
Correct, under
Okay.
staff reports, unfinished business.
So that's a motion to add that to the agenda.
That is correct.
Thank
We have a motion from Councilmember Henderson. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Carlson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. May I have a motion to approve the agenda and there is no agenda?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Henderson, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. All right, Mr. Shelby.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of City Council. Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney, discussing public comment. Members of the public are allowed a reasonable opportunity at the beginning of today's council meeting to address any item on the agenda before City Council takes official action on an item. A 3-minute time limit applies to all speakers providing public comment. Speakers and members of the public are reminded that they are to refrain from disruptive behavior, including making vulgar or threatening remarks or making or causing disruptive noises or sounds or displaying signs or graphics. Speakers are also reminded to refrain from launching personal attacks against any city official, staff member, or members of the public. The chair will rule out of order any person who speaks without being recognized or attempts to address the city council from outside the speaker area at the podium. Persons failing to comply with the council's rules may also be ruled out of order and, at the discretion of the chair, may be removed from the chambers for the remainder of that day's meeting. Now, if you are here to speak on items set for a public hearing, as it appears on the agenda, you will have that opportunity when the item is heard later in the agenda, with the exception of the cemetery designation. That will follow immediately public comment. No public comment will be taken later during staff reports. The time to speak about those items under staff reports and items on the consent agenda is during general public comment that's going to be coming up. And finally, City Council, please Members should refrain from engaging a speaker under public comment, and the public should be aware that the City Council does not take your questions or engage in dialogue with you during general public comment. This is your opportunity to express your position. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shelby. I just spoke with my aide and Mr. Massey regarding 63. He does not need to be present for 63. He will be present for 64. Even though we've asked yes on 63, but he's going to be here for 64. Is that correct, Lisa? Yes. Okay. All right. We'll get to that when we get to that. All right. At this time, we're going to start with item number 2. We have the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee to present at least 2 to 3 options regarding a salary increase and to work with staff. All right. Who will be presenting? Yes, sir. Dr. Newman. Go ahead, sir. Please state your name.
Good morning, City Council members.
Good morning.
Let's see.
And Councilman Vieira is here.
On November 2nd, 2023, the City Council has requested the Budget Advisory Board present 2 to 3 options for City Council to consider.
Please state your name, sir.
I apologize. I thought Craig Newman. I'm the chairman of the City Budget Advisory Board.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll continue. I'll start from the beginning so we get it all straight. On November 2nd, 2023, City Council requested the Budget Advisory Board present 2 to 3 options for City Council to consider regarding the salary increase. These are 3 options for the City Council to consider. 1, maintain the current system as is, which is tied to the city managers at 3%. Number 2, establish a pay scale for the next City Council starting on May the 1st, 2027. And number 3, request staff to conduct a pay equity study on City Council salaries. Those were the 3 options that have come up through the City Budget Advisory Board. Any questions for me?
Any questions for the gentleman? Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Hurtak.
I believe that number 3's already been done by the Chief of Staff. Is that correct?
Good morning again, John Bennett, Chief of Staff. That is correct. We took input from various sources. We looked at similar jurisdictions, and then we tried to make an adjustment based on what we understood at the time. Timing is always maybe a challenge, but we tried to put the money in the budget for council to make a decision.
Okay, wonderful. So I guess we can talk about that at future. Just wanted to make sure I put that into the record. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was short and sweet.
All right, so we'll discuss this further as requested by Councilmember Henderson later on in the agenda. Is that it, sir? That's it. Thank you very much.
You couldn't hit that door any faster than trying.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go see my granddaughter.
Enjoy your day. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go to public comment, but we're going to take the virtual speakers first. We have 10 people listed for public comment. The first gentleman that I have is Mr. Chris Curry. Chris Curry, if you're online, please unmute yourself, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
He's not online.
He's not online. Next is Elise Beachy. If you're online, ma'am, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
She's not on either.
Okay. Third is Mr. Franklin Perez. Mr. Perez, if you're online, please unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes. State your name.
Yes, sir. This is Franklin Perez. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you. My name is Franklin Perez, and I live in Seminole and Hillsborough counties. Please rescind all pro-Israel resolutions you have made in the past. Enough is enough. Israel is a Jewish supremacist apartheid state that has been committing ethnic cleansing and human rights abuses against Palestinians for 75 plus years. And now you can add genocide, as Israel is on trial at The Hague for genocide against Palestinians. Stop supporting Israel. Stop giving it weapons. Stop giving it money. And condemn it for what it is, an apartheid and genocidal state. Many human rights experts refer to Gaza as an open-air concentration camp. The Israeli apartheid regime's prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, has invoked genocidal language against Palestinians in the Gaza concentration camp by referring to an ancient biblical passage in the Old Testament, comparing Palestinians to the Amalekites that must all be put to death. Men, women, children, babies. The Israeli apartheid regime's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, has dehumanized Palestinians by referring to Palestinians in the Gaza concentration camp as human animals. Miko Peled, Israeli Jew, son of a famous Israeli Jew general, ex-Zionist occupation forces enforcer, and Palestinian rights activist, has stated that the Israeli army is the best terrorist group in the world. Ex-Israeli Jew Zionist occupation forces pilot Yonatan Shapira has stated that the Israeli army is a terrorist organization run by war criminals. At this point, due to scattered Zionist-only occupier settlements in the West Bank, the only fair solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict is a one-state solution where everyone, Jew and Palestinian, has equal rights. That's what is referred to as a free Palestine from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. All U.S. government entities should be pressuring the Israeli apartheid regime to move towards such a free Palestine. That includes the dismantling of the Gaza concentration camp. The refrain that Israel has the right to self-defense is a red herring. The real question is, does Israel have the right to use force to maintain an illegal occupation and apartheid state that commits ethnic cleansing, genocide, and human rights abuses against Palestinians? The clear answer is no. Under international law, Israel has no right of self-defense when it is the oppressor and occupier, while Palestinians do have the right to physically resist and defend themselves against their oppressor and occupier, the Israeli apartheid regime. Our tax dollars should be going back to our own community, not to support unrelenting bombing and genocide in Gaza. No more money for Israel's crimes. I request that the Tampa City Council introduce a resolution to stand with Palestinians in demanding an end to the siege of Gaza, a permanent ceasefire, and an end to all U.S. aid to Israel. Military, economic, political. Ceasefire now, ceasefire now, ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Michael Randolph. Mr. Randolph, if you're online, please unmute yourself and state your name.
Chair, the only other person that's online is Ed Austin.
Okay, is Mr. Randolph on? No? All right. So we go to Mr. Ed Austin. Mr. Austin, if you're online, please unmute yourself and state your name. You have 3 minutes. Mr. Austin, if you're online, please unmute yourself and state your name. You have 3 minutes. Mr. Austin?
He's on, but he's not unmuting.
Okay. If that's the case, then we are going to continue with public comment and go to our in-person public comment. I see State Attorney Andrew Warren, if you want to start off, sir. Good morning, sir. Please state your name.
Hi, good morning. I'm Andrew Warren, the duly elected state attorney here in Hillsborough County. Wrongful convictions violate the most fundamental values of our criminal justice system by punishing the innocent and letting the guilty go free. That's why at the state attorney's office, we started a conviction review unit, a specialized unit to identify and fix wrongful convictions. And in 2020, we exonerated Robert Dubois, a man who had been locked up for 37 years for rape and murder that he didn't commit. Now, Robert's case, and that exoneration, exemplifies prosecutorial success, exonerating the innocent, going after the actual perpetrators, delivering justice to victims and their families, and finding ways to improve the system. I mean, DNA evidence proved Robert's innocence, and it led us to the 2 people who actually committed that crime. And 2 years later, we found and indicted them for that heinous murder. Now, Robert's conviction was a terrible injustice, and I'm proud to have led the charge to right that wrong, but I did not do it alone. I want to thank Teresa Hall and Ray Estevez, who led our conviction review unit investigation. I want to thank the detectives from Tampa Police Department and FDLE who did incredible work to uncover the wrong and to actually help build the case against the actual perpetrators. I want to thank Judge Chris Nash, who reviewed the evidence, recognized his innocence, and ordered Robert's release. Even the Florida legislature, who put aside partisanship and came together in a near unanimous vote to exonerate Robert. And of course, here today, the City Council is going to be voting on compensation for Robert. Now, I'll tell you, I have no idea how you put a price on 37 years of freedom that's been taken away. But I trust our elected officials, our council members, and our mayor to make that decision. I mean, after all, that's how democracy is supposed to work. Now, I tell you, unfortunately, not everyone believes in seeking justice. I'm disappointed to hear that the acting state attorney, unelected and illegally appointed, doesn't believe in the idea of conviction integrity and has effectively disbanded that unit in the office. Look, prosecutors should relentlessly pursue justice always. And our unit reviewed hundreds of cases where we proved that the system got it right, which instills confidence and brings closure to victims' families. In this case of Robert Dubois is the extremely rare exception where we got it totally wrong. So I'm glad that the City Council is taking a vote on this to give a victory that's been waiting for 40 years. This is a huge victory for justice, a victory not just for Robert, but for the entire Tampa Bay community and everyone who believes that the time is always right to do what's right. Thank you so much. Have a good
Thank you
morning.
very much, sir. All right. Next speaker, please. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Bobby Creighton. I live in Tampa, Florida. I wanted to speak on item 65, the future land use updates that's coming before you today. First, I'd like to thank council for their historic budget contributions to affordable housing. I'd also like to thank you for working to expand the streetcar to enhance transit connectivity throughout the urban core. These issues show that you have historic commitments to important issues facing our city. In grad school, I lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts, near Davis Square. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that. I lived a 10-minute walk or bike ride from single-family neighborhoods, multifamily residential streets, mixed-use corridors with bars, restaurants, retail, dentist office, primary care provider offices, grocery stores, a theater, subway station, commuter rail, bus service, churches, green spaces, on and on and on. 10-minute walk, 10-minute bike ride. It was amazing. I didn't need a car. I didn't have a car. And all this different development worked really well to make a very livable place. That experience turned me into somewhat of a zealot. I've sent you all some very impassioned emails because I and others want to live in a version of Tampa that more closely resembles that kind of environment. I think that the consultant for the future land use updates, as well as city and interlocal agency staff, have done a fine job of recommending creative solutions to generate more affordable housing and density. But I would like to respectfully express my concerns that the recommendations don't go far enough to address the demands we may face with a population growth of over 400 new residents a month. I suspect it's not sufficient to produce the urban context that I just described. Will development be fast enough to keep up with the growth? Will it be enough to prevent residents that are the fabric of Tampa's history and culture from being displaced? I hope that someone can show the public how that all pencils out with those numbers. The vision of the plan being presented is one we should have had 20 or 30 years ago and be living in today. It feels safe because it meets the expectation of the present, but I'm afraid it doesn't fully address the needs of the future. With so much of the city limited to single-family homes and so much limited space on the corridors, where are all these people going to go? I hope the experts and professionals can show the public how this pencils out in a functional plan. And I hope that the housing workshop on the 29th provides additional context for framing that issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Hi, Homera Afzal, and I live in Tampa. Over 50 city councils all across the U.S. have passed some type of resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Places like Akron, Ohio, Albany, New York, Madison, Wisconsin, Seattle, Eugene, Oregon. Meanwhile, you all remain silent. Your counterparts in St. Pete actually have a ceasefire resolution on the agenda this afternoon. You all have a copy in your inbox. Richie Floyd, the St. Pete City Council member who introduced the resolution, has finally shown that there is at least one elected leader in the Tampa Bay area with the moral backbone to speak up. Much like people across America, many Tampa residents support a permanent ceasefire and de-escalation of violence in Gaza. Here's some national numbers if you don't believe me. These are very old numbers. I can tell you there's a lot more people calling for a ceasefire at this point. Your local Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim neighbors, Israel's war on Gaza also directly affects many people who call Tampa home. Your local Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim neighbors are experiencing a sharp rise in anti-Arab, anti-Palestinian, and especially Islamophobic hate. And many of our local residents have had multiple friends and relatives ethnically cleansed in Gaza or wrongfully imprisoned in the West Bank. Every single one of us is also complicit in the war crimes that Israel is committing because our U.S. taxpayers are funding the genocide. Our own representatives in Congress have voted repeatedly to send billions of dollars to Israel. Most recently, $14 billion. That is on the agenda this month in Congress. Our own that's not just Senators Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, but also Tampa's U.S. House Rep. Kathy Castor. Instead of using that money to fix problems here at home, things like affordable housing, it's being used to carpet bomb and snipe civilians, blow up homes, hospitals, schools, and bakeries. Kathy Castor represents both St. Pete and Tampa in Congress. Maybe she'll stop voting to fund genocide if both cities pass resolutions. How many war crimes will it take for you to speak up? Your constituents are weary of feeling abandoned on this, Gaza, and other issues. How many more Palestinians have to die before you speak up? Starvation is being used as a weapon of war. I'm speaking out because I have empathy and compassion for other humans facing horrible injustice, and I want it to stop. I ask you to do the same. Our national, state, and county leaders have failed to show moral clarity on this terrible injustice. City council members are the elected representatives closest to the people, and we deserve better for you. It's time to speak up.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Mr. Coleman, please state your name.
Just no mic anymore. Hi, Dave Coleman, North Tampa. Good morning. The Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners is why Tampa can't have nice things. An example would be Gwen Myers saying at just the last affordable housing meeting that Hillsborough is doing great with homelessness, that the numbers are down, and if you ask them, they prefer to stay that way because they make more money. With such a false belief, we can expect little help. I recently attended a planning commission meeting where a presentation was given by the TPO regarding the new transportation survey. It seems like a real effort towards an actual Vision Zero goal, which the mayor has asked for. I learned about funding the half-cent tax and the 7-cent gas tax. I didn't really know a lot about them. That money is going to a variety of things, including roads, transit, and even schools. A Times article this morning got me out of bed and down here. Apparently, at a workshop just yesterday, the GOP cabal has decided that our voted-on half-cent tax needs to go on the ballot with an upcoming ask for a millage for schools, with the TPO trying to fulfill the mayor's push for actual Vision Zero, with the fact that the city only has $2 billion, the schools $4 billion, and the county has $9 billion, with 2.3 sitting in fluid funds. We need to fight back on removing this tax. We probably need to increase it. The mayor was at the meeting yesterday, and I know her staff and this council has far better people than me to fight the BOCC. Aside from the upcoming final flu presentation on Thursday evening at 6 p.m., March 7th, there are to be 3 opportunities to speak to this community investment tax. March 6th, March, April, and a public hearing on April 17th. I assume all are going to be at the regular BOCC meetings. Please send help and wisdom to stop the BOCC from pulling all resources from the urban core, which is exactly what they keep trying to do. I've been going over there for the past 8 months, and that's all they want to do. The future land use plan for Hillsborough County has the entire city whited out. On a couple other notes, you deserve more in salaries, and the Jackson House will wait for no man. It's in its last groans. I drove past it just yesterday. Please salvage what you can now. And local governments across the land are passing resolutions to support a ceasefire. Please do one here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Good morning, Connie Burton. Andrew Warren, the duly elected state attorney, got it right. And while he was there, he was so courageous, he was able to do his job as well as look backwards to see what harm had been done to those under his administration that should be ensured of receiving justice. You Democrats have an opportunity to do it right too. But there's some resistance of doing what's right. The $14 million, I would say, is nothing considering everything that has been lost. But when you look at an entire African community that continues to lose, from the past to the future, we are continuing to lose. And what you did, at least 4 of you, signed a resolution in 2020 saying you understood our loss. You said by your own language that you understood that policies had been written quietly, secretly, that brought harm to the African community. And yet still to this day, you can't move forward. The community didn't write Resolution 568, you did. You have a responsibility to repair the harm. In that resolution under Section 3, it talked about those that have been incarcerated. What you gonna do about it? They come back to a community with no skills. The community is more crippled because we have been excluded from all economic opportunity. Recidivism continue. And yet, you expect us, as loyal supporters of the Democratic Party and voters, to support you. How can we do it? No, we have to move in our best interest now. We're hoping as you commemorate the Dr. King celebration that you understand that he understood. When Dr. King said, look at those beautiful churches, I wonder what people and who do they pray to and what God do they serve. And every week that I come down here and I look at that agenda, I wonder, do y'all understand the base that has been loyal to you? The Black community has been loyal to you. You signed that resolution in 2020. We are in 2024. Our community, according to the state report you passed out the other day, economically we are doing worse. We cannot provide a future for our children. We cannot close the economic gap that is continuing. We cannot save our houses because of the ongoing neglect. It's on you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
Greetings, staff, city council. My name is Dominique Cobb. I am a resident of City of Tampa, and happy Black History Month. Today I'm here on multiple, I guess I would say, agenda items and also issues in the community. I have served as CRA in the East Tampa community from various boards, from the public safety to housing. I currently serve as the chair for historic preservation for the city of Tampa, but that is not why I'm here. I'm here today because I'm upset because I could have moved any place in the United States and abroad with my career or with my family, but I chose to stay here because I have family, we have roots here, but unfortunately, with all of my studies and research and also a student of public policy, I see that the policies here in the city of Tampa are not for me and my family. And again, in African spirituality, we have a Odu called Obara Oshe, which is the bell rings the loudest in the house. What that means is before I can go help anybody else, I have to help and see what is in my house that is wrong. If the fire alarm goes off in my house, I have to save me and my children. Unfortunately, there are families here in the city of Tampa that don't have a home. I see multiple resolutions about housing. I've even worked for the Housing Authority, City of Tampa, being there and seeing multiple vouchers that have not been used for the betterment of the family. It is a mess. And I'm being very emotional right now because I've gone through this. I've worked with families who are struggling right now. And because this demographic looks like this, because this city looks the way it does, they have nowhere to go for help. Some of the people in my community feed regularly. We give clothing. Unfortunately, those small individual conglomerates, they don't get the help because the money doesn't trickle down. The money goes to the same corporations. So I hope that we can take advantage of these small task forces and resolutions that's being made and get in contact with the people who are actually going through these crises. Not only are there people who want to start businesses in the city of Tampa, they can't do it because the places in East Tampa are horrible. We can't even get economic stimulation here. So please look at the budget. I advise everyone, election time is coming up right now. Yes, we may be Democratic, but we may not be voting. Thank you, and you have a beautiful day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name. Good morning, ma'am. Please state your
Good
name.
morning. My name is Sally Yitzi Lee of the Volunteer Missionary Society Penny Fund. I will lift up my eyes to the hill which cometh my help, by God who made heaven and earth. And I am asking the councilman to please help Sister Gwen to come out to the resource center space and help her open the doors to the Volunteer Missionary Society Center for Youth and Seniors. We can win for the youth and seniors and learn how to live, thrive, and survive. We can win. Thank God for the Tampa Police services have been coming out to check on us seniors because we go through a lot. I mean, we have went through it. And the police officers can help to change our community. Let that be a voice for our community, for seniors and youth. Come, let us reason together. And if the children would see the parents getting along, they would change their attitude when they see we all going together. You have been summoned by God. Empty spaces so we can try, thrive, and survive. We can win. Help us. Together we stand, divided we fall. African brothers and sisters, unite now. For God, forgive us our sins and our attitude. Unite now. And if you want to make a donation, you can send it to Suncoast Credit Union, 1920 East Patterson Street. And one more thing, we should oppose the Social Security bill, HR 281. They're trying to take our money away. And I'm writing to them, asking them, please don't do that. And may God cease fire and I bring peace to this earth. Amen.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Good morning,
Good
Tasia
morning.
Stagg. The city code for overgrowth and accumulation, the city code for overgrowth acknowledges that there's such a thing as vegetation protected by the state. The city, specifically the Florida statutes specify that Florida-friendly landscape, this is the Florida-friendly landscaping statute 373-185, and specifically a local government ordinance may not prohibit or be enforced so as to prohibit any property owner from implementing Florida-friendly landscaping on his or her land. The University of Florida has a program to recognize Florida-friendly landscaping. It's not called certification anymore, it's just called yard recognition. This is their checklist for how to qualify for official recognition as a Florida-friendly landscape. I'll show you Florida-friendly landscaping principle 4, mulch. First item, self-mulching areas exist under trees where leaves can remain as they fall. You might have heard of leave the leaves. They're not dirt, they're not gonna hurt somebody, they're free fertilizer, it's a waste and it's destructive to blow them. Shouldn't treat them like trash, they're valuable. Yesterday I learned that the city of Tampa forbids leaving the leaves because they could theoretically become dislodged from plant beds and blow onto a public sidewalk. This is clearly a violation of the Florida statute, along with being arbitrary enforcement of the code. This is ridiculous. According to the results of the public record request that I placed, city code enforcement has provided no training to officers to comply with this Florida-friendly landscaping statute. The city will kill the oasis I've managed to create, the nearly all-native landscape that would otherwise survive and continue to support pollinators and birds whose populations are declining. This is embarrassingly evil. Please help.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Please state your name. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ernest Lockley Jr. I live at 4217 East Clifton Street, Tampa. I was born and raised in Tampa. My father was born and raised in Tampa. I was born on Cypress in West Tampa and raised in East Tampa. I'm a veteran of the Air Force, United States Air Force. I served in the Vietnam War along with my family. Gave a lot to this country through participation in the service in the Army. My grandfather at the age of 42 was drafted and served in the World War II situation. My uncle, Joseph Lockley Jr. was killed in World War II in 1942. My uncle, Emmanuel Lockley, was shot and wounded and missing in action in World War II, and my father served at the end of World War II in Island ADI. So at any rate, I am a participant of the government of the United States. I retired from Hillsborough County. I work with the Road and Street Department. I work with the Parks Department. I just want to say that I'm a little appalled. My concern is my observation of what's been going on in the black community. You know, I remember the older days. I'm 70 years old, so I remember the projects and all that stuff. And I feel good about some of the new things that's been done in our community, helping people to get affordable housing and whatnot. But I'm just saying that to me, in my observation, it's not good enough. The people are not making enough money to survive. And every time I look around, somebody got to get a second job or a third job just to survive, pay rent. Everything went up when the $15 an hour came in. And so in our community, you know, it's still a big struggle economically. And the other observation that I'm tired of seeing is that the black community always have to be last when it comes down to improvements in our community. I'm tired of driving my truck, getting beat up on my streets with potholes and patches that look like my hair. So I'm just saying, I'm tired of seeing finances go to the Riverwalk. I'm about ready to start walking on water like Jesus. Because I'm tired of seeing money going to the Riverwalk when my streets where my people been paying taxes for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years.
Thank you very
I know
much.
I've been here. My family been here. So I just want to say I'm not trying to be hostile against nobody. I just want y'all to do a better job in our community.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Hello, good morning. My name is Haley Franklin. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I did just want to be here today and introduce myself. I was actually just crowned Ms. Gulf Coast, so I will be representing Tampa, which is where I reside, and the region and Florida as a whole at Nationals in July. We will be competing, all the states and the regions will be competing as a whole, and I'm honored to represent Tampa, so I just wanted to say thank you for letting me represent this beautiful city. And I'm actually from Kentucky, so I was told that I was the youngest elected official in Kentucky when I served on city council. So I wanted to say thank you guys for being public servants. I know how hard it can be at times. But thank you. And if you know any organizations that need an extra hand or would like a little bit of extra, advertisement, get with me and I would love to help. If it betters the city in any way, I would love to be a part of that. So thank you so much. And I don't know if this is against the rules, but can I get a picture with everybody in the background just up here at the front? I called and they said that I could try it.
Well, it would unfortunately set a very difficult precedent to avoid in the future, so our apologies, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Copeland Miller. Yes, ma'am, please state your name. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Noreen Copeland Miller, and I'm here, resident of East Tampa. And as I listen to some of my neighbors in the audience talking about what's going on in our community, I had to come up and speak to this. Because we know that you guys work hard, majority of you. You're here to 4 o'clock in the morning, which certainly is not something that I know you take pleasure in, doing the work of this city. But please remember East Tampa as you do that. Please remember historic Bama Heights. I would have to say this. I know that it's Black History Month, and it's a lot of great accomplishments that has happened in this city by Black individuals, as myself. So as I stand here, I was reflecting back on last week, and I can only say this. We come down here, not that we want to just show up. We come down here because we're very serious about the plight of the Black community in the city of Tampa. I don't have a black card. I don't need one because the color of my skin speaks for me. But we have no place, I don't think, up there to be making jokes when it comes to that can be taken in a racial overtone is what I heard. And I thought that was very disrespectful to the Black folks in this city that worked so hard to make the city of Tampa the paradise that we say it is. So if you want to make jokes and all that kind of stuff, I think you might want to go to the Improv over in Ybor because they do have that kind of venue. But this is no place for it here. So thank you for your time. Have a great morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Good morning, Council. Steve McElhaney. I'm here representing 717 Parking on item number 61 on your agenda. And we've had some discussions with staff as well as some of you council members regarding the importance of completing the safety study that's being conducted by Tampa Police Department. And you have a number of emails suggesting that everything is out of control in Ybor City regarding parking lots. The issues don't begin or end with the parking lots. It's an area-wide problem. You all have been deliberating on how to address that, and I would encourage you not to take any action until that study is completed, so that we know exactly how to get control over the safety issues that are associated with Ybor City. It's not the problem of the parking lots, it is an area problem. We've talked about using various funds to try to assist with safety and action programs, but none of that can happen until you have the police report from the police department, and everyone's had a chance to analyze that and figure out what the best direction is to go in. It is a complicated and multifaceted issue. The staff has already told you that the parking lots there are either in compliance or in the process of becoming in compliance, and it would be premature to take any action at this point until those studies are completed and we have a chance to look at it and see how best to move forward. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bishop Patty, are you next? No? All right. Yes, sir. Please state your name. Oh. Good morning, everyone. Yes,
Good
ma'am.
morning.
Good morning.
I'm Bishop
Michelle B. Patty, also the host of What's Really Happening. On last Thursday, one of the councilmen said that he was going to play his gay card during a presentation of some signs. Then he turned to the African-American councilwoman and said, "Oh, do you have a problem? I'm killing you. You've been using your black card." Then he took the initiative to call What's Really Happening on this past Saturday to say that it was a joke. Well, the folks here, we came to tell you it was no laughing matter. It was racist. Your sexuality has nothing to do with government, representative government. We do not appreciate those type of jokes. You read a litany of things that we, the speakers, can and cannot say, but you all had the opportunity to say whatever you want to say to African Americans in this city. We're here to say in 2024, you will respect our blackness. We do not appreciate what took place, and what was really sad, no one hit the gavel and told him he was out of order. This is the same man that when he sat on the Civil Service Board and we had an African-American police officer fired from his job, and the only way that he reinstated him was to take his back pay. $40,000 came out of that man's pocket, hurting his children where they could not eat. So we don't see you as a jokester. We see you as a racist councilman who's sitting up there in this seat, supposed to be representing the whole city. So what we came, Mr. Allen Clendenin, is to ask you to give us not ask, but demand and an apology. And yes, I heard what you said, you can't call name, but I don't want people to get confused that the other councilman said it. So it was warranted that we called his name because nobody else should be confused and people wondering who said it. So if you're gonna put things in order, you wanna hammer the gavel, then you put him in check and tell him that this would not be tolerated by a city councilman who's taking our tax dollars and then being disrespectful to this black community. So as you look around, we have clergy, we have seen these are super voters who's standing tall, letting you know that we do not find those type of comments comical, because we as African Americans, we've gone through a lot from slavery to up until now, and we still not being respected. So we came down here today to let you know that we will not tolerate this, not just from him, but from any council person. You all need to, I don't know if it's in the code of ethics, but it should be. When Councilman Orlando Goose made his Jewish remark, swiftly he had to apologize. Swiftly he had to give an account of himself. So we want swift action today.
Thank you very much.
An apology.
And he needs to apologize to you all too.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shelby.
If people want to, excuse me, I'm sorry.
We have another speaker. We have Pastor.
If people, forgive me, but if people do wish to speak, if you could please just come up one at a time and state your name, and you have the right to 3 minutes. You don't have to use it if you don't want the entire 3 minutes, but you'll have that opportunity. But I just ask that you come up and speak, not at the same time, but in order, and state your name for the record. Thank you very much.
Please state your name, sir.
I'm Pastor Timothy J. Kemp of Peace Progressive Community Church on Lake Avenue. And it's good to be here to hear what is being transpired from every issue. But nothing in life to me is a laughing matter. And to insult any one of my sisters, it's like you insulted my mother and every one of my sisters. And I would like for you to consider your moral fiber, if you have any. And you need to get up right now and apologize to Miss Henderson. Yes. Because whatever happened in post-slavery, it's a new day and time. And I heard something about something coming to litigation. I think the only time a person would really get a reality check is when they write a big $1 billion check. A lot of times you are violating a person's civil rights and human rights because the Constitution of the United States don't apply to one, it applies to all. So regardless of your preference or your choice, that's your business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. But as far as Miss Henderson is concerned, she's the representative of my district. And I am aware of the fact that she just recently lost her mother. There should be some type of professional decorum and sensitivity to the mutual respect of your colleagues. And for all of us who are community activists and citizens of the city of Tampa, we paid the freight, we made the vote, and we're just here to say, collectively, do what's right just because it's right. I'm here to say, personally, I'm a grown man, and I don't tolerate disrespect from nobody, in a council or out of council. So it would probably be wise for you to consider what you say and who you're talking to, because you can't judge a book by the cover. And what you don't know is who you're talking to, because there's more to me than your eyes can see. But that's just not me. That's every one of us standing here. And Sister Henderson, God bless you. Keep your focus, maintain your poise, and continue to do a tremendous job for this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir, please state your name.
Reverend Charles Coffey, Senior, Truth for the World Ministries. To the council here, I think an apology should be given. We're trying to go forward now. America is headed for civil war like it was 100, 200 years ago. We don't need that anymore. I'm not calling names. We should be above that. 68 years I've been on this planet, born in Plant City, Florida, that's South Florida Baptist Hospital. We should be above this. You all are smart people, and there's some smart people got this country in a mess. Smart people. I ain't talking Republican, Democrat. I could care less about that foolishness because it ain't got none of us nowhere. Sure ain't got black folk nowhere. That's right. We in the same condition. That's right. But we're tired now. Our backs are against the wall. We ain't got nowhere to go. We ain't got nowhere to go and ain't running. That's right. We may have to die and spill our blood in these streets, but we ain't going nowhere. Please apologize. Let's get this thing over and we can start again. If Jesus walked through that door, he'd do the same thing. He'd get us to start again. This is not a joke. We playing with dynamite now. We got some suffering black folk out there, and I'm sure there's some suffering white folk, Jewish folk, Mexican folk, and all. That's right. But I'm talking black people today because I'm black. This should not go on from a council member on this board or wherever. This should not go on. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that's looking down upon this council. Do what is right. I'm not looking for justice for you. Because the Bible says God is the only man can give justice. I ain't looking for no justice for man no more. Because if he ain't done it in 400 years, he ain't gonna do it. But I'm looking for you all that's got some God in you. Because I know some of you go to First Baptist Church. And the preacher talk about the same God I talk about. You ought to tell him to do what's right. God bless you.
Councilman Clendenin.
Okay. I appreciate the fact that all y'all came down today. And one, I want to say that I hope you go back and listen to the recording of the meeting, if those of you who have not done that yet, not listen to what everybody says I said, but what I actually said and the light and how it was said. I'll start off by saying, Mr. Coffey, I'll give you your apology. So anything that I say, regardless of what it is, if I don't want, it is never my intention on any day, afternoon or night, to make anybody's life any more difficult than it already is. We live in a very difficult world, and I know the folks in the black community have had more hardship and have had to overcome more obstacles than any human being should have to overcome. And I never want to make anybody's life more difficult than it already is. I try to live my life by an example. Because when I approach someone, if it's a cashier at Publix, or anybody that I deal with, generally I try to approach it that I don't know what they're dealing with in their life. I don't know if they've lost a loved one that day, as Councilwoman Henderson recently did. And I do not want to be the person that makes their life any more difficult than it already is. But what I am is, I am kind of who I am. I am kind of a jokester. I try to keep some levity to things. And a lot of times if you watch city council, sometimes the sparks fly up here and the tensions get great. And I started my career as a Jungle Cruise skipper at Disney World. So I started off as a teenager, kind of as a jokester. And in every angle of my life, I try to keep levity in things. So everything I do, I try to keep some levity in life. Now, maybe when you do something like that, you run the risk of offending people. And again, for that, I truly apologize, because that is not my intention. My intention is never to hurt someone's feelings. It's never to make someone's life more difficult. And, you know, will I make more mistakes? You know what? For those of you that are children of God and go to church or preach at a church, you know, we all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And, you know, so I will make more mistakes, I guarantee you, because the sun will come up and the sun will rise, and surely enough, I will make another mistake where I'll probably hurt somebody else's feeling, and I'll be willing to apologize for that in the future. But it is not my intention. And I believe that Councilwoman Henderson and I are good friends. We have a jovial relationship. We kid each other back and forth about a lot of things. You know, we joke about a lot of things. I don't believe that Councilwoman Henderson, because we've talked about it subsequent to that. I think she's okay with that, but that's because her and I know each other, and I know you all don't know me. But so anyway, take that. For those of you that feelings were hurt, I apologize. I appreciate you coming down here today, and I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you very
Councilman, my name is Pastor Tom Jones. I'm the senior pastor at Heaven Destiny Church, and I simply will read a statement that was drafted by the members of the church concerning this issue. It says, I think we all can admit that there are some serious problems in this city that need to be addressed and solved. This is no time to be making jokes of any kind during a business meeting. I, as a member of this community, was offended by the comments that was made by a council member concerning sexual preference and race when making a decision about the community. I hope you will show your true colors and character by giving this community an apology for using city time to tell jokes. There are serious times in this city that deserve serious men and women to get the job done. Your comments on this issue was not only a bad joke, it was a joke where no one is laughing. So my comment to you is, no one is laughing, and we are busy trying to find affordable housing and decent jobs.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. All right, we had a couple of registered speakers that were not able to log in, but they have logged in. I believe there's 3, is that correct? Wait, 7 are logged in? Okay. Is it Chris Curry who we begin with? All right, we have a Mr., oh, yes, before we begin, yes, ma'am, please say your name.
Good morning.
Huh?
I was waiting in line, but that was not a line, it was a herd. Sharon, go ahead. So, go ahead, you're good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Know your place. Don't refer to us as a herd. You refer to us as animals.
Enough, ma'am. You're both out of order. Stop, or you're out of order and you're out. Everybody's going to have a chance to speak. Yes, ma'am. All right, enough. Ma'am, please state your name.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
My name is Sherna Blair Rich. I am a resident of Tampa, Florida, native, a Floridian, where most people today in Tampa are transplants. And so basically I just came up here today to address Mr. Clendenin. All of the information that you just provided here today in your lengthy espousal is infuriating. It is truly infuriating to the point where most of us in here today do ascribe to a particular God that we serve. Most of us have something inside of us that perhaps, sir, you do not. To say that I am a man and that There will be other mistakes that I will make. Check yourself, sir. Check what's inside of you. Check what's inside of your heart. Because everyone that came up here today, this is not something that I do. I'm a writer for one of the biggest newspapers in this state, the Florida Sentinel Bulletin. My power is my pen. And sir, please be advised that you have stepped on the wrong toes today. We have the clip, and if you want us to go back, I can quote every word, sir. You owe Councilwoman Henderson an apology. For the record, sir, do the right thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
Stephanie Pointer, good morning. For the record, I was a school teacher for 16 years. And when you have a large bunch of people together like that, when you teach middle and high school, it's a herd. It's been a herd it has nothing to do with color of skin. It has to do with a large bunch of people being together as opposed to being in a single file line, which is where everybody was supposed to be. So it had nothing to do with the color of their skin. Excuse me, you can come up and get in line next. Now, it had nothing to do with anybody's color of their skin. I made a statement because there was confusion.
A group, not a herd.
Should we take a recess, Mr. Shelby?
What is council's pleasure at this time?
All right.
I'd like to have my time to speak.
Would you like to read the rules again?
Does anybody feel the need for that?
I don't feel the need for that. You have your 3 minutes to speak.
Thank
If
you.
we could please have silence
Thank
in the
you.
crowd, everybody will have the opportunity to speak.
I appreciate it. Good morning. I'm here to talk about the increase in pay for city council. I'd like to start, I handed you guys a copy of the charter, and Councilman Vieira, the last time this came up, he voted against it, and he sent a memo to the Budget Advisory Committee and said, I would respectfully request that you do not, or you not support any proposed non-inflation adjusted increase. The current salary of city council, according to the budget, is $66,000. So that means you qualify for the 60th, the 70th, or the 80th percentile of the AMI for the city of Tampa, according to the current numbers. Now, with that being said, I went back because I took Councilman Vieira's information and said, wow, let me see what this means, the CPI, okay? Well, when I take the $40,000 that they were making according to the resolution from 2005, and you put it into the CPI calculator, the CPI calculator said to make the same money that City Council made in 2005, that you must make $63,856. The same money. Now, every single solitary person in this room knows that this city has grown by 80, 90, 100,000 people. That's exactly what you should be making. You are making $6,000 a year less. Now, for those of you who say, I don't want the increase, I don't think it's a good idea, because I know that before the last election, at least one of you went around and said, well, you know what? If we raise the salary, more people run against us. That's not right either. Because if you look at the election statistics, first of all, 2 of you got slaughtered about this in the mailers. And you know what? The election results showed that the pay increase didn't matter. Round 1 of the elections, 40, 50, So this is somebody who voted for it. This one was somebody who voted for it, but I don't think it mattered. And you can all go look at this data too. And this is somebody else who voted for it. The numbers are all right there together. It didn't make 2 flips how you voted for it before. I want a city council who makes a decent wage. I want a city council that includes people who cannot work 2 jobs. I want a city council that looks like everybody in this room. I want a city council that is not made of people who are independently wealthy. And until we get this to a living wage, it's not equitable. I want our city to be represented on that council, not just folks who make a lot of money and not just folks who take money from developers. I want everybody to be eligible for council.
Thank you
And
very
it's not
much.
about you, it's about the seat you sit in.
Ms. Lockett, yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Ms. Lockett? No, Robin Lockett. I am very troubled with me sitting in the audience. Very troubled. You know, the seat that an elected official, when you're representing so many different people, you cannot look at life through that one lens that you grew up with and that you were exposed to. Now, if somebody says, one of the speakers identified this group as a herd, that offended somebody. So it's taking yourself a step back and just looking at it versus being defensive about it. Alan, I'm sorry, but you had an opportunity just to apologize because it offended all these people here. Regardless as to where you come from, how you are, people don't want to know that. They just want to hear you give a sincere apology because of how they felt when they saw that video of their perception was their reality, even though your interaction with the other council member was something else. So when you're sitting in these seats, you have to have the ability to take a step back and try to get a glean from somebody else's lens. This is very troubling for me. It really was. And just the interaction. And in life, we have to, I'm not white. I don't know how it is to be white. I'm a proud black woman. But whenever we stand up for ourselves, then people get defensive. Whenever we speak loudly, I get passionate, people get offensive. And we always have to, me as a woman, I always have to defend myself. Right? I used to have to defend myself. But this was very troubling for me. Just the interaction and just the response. What you and the councilwoman has behind closed doors in regards to your conversation, your relationship and so forth, it wasn't what that was about. The community came out, they were upset about it, and they just wanted an apology. That's it. And not preparing them for something else to happen. Or it may happen again, or something else may happen. You know, asking for forgiveness ahead of time. But this is a missed opportunity for just a sincere apology. And just for the community, when black people tell you they're offended about something, just take it in and move from it, because that's their lens and that's their experience.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Mr. Daniels, please state your name.
Mentez not.
Oh. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Mentez not. Want to say huru. Huru means freedom in Swahili. And we as African people should always be thinking about our freedom. It's news circulating now in reference to a settlement agreement for someone who was wrongly incarcerated. But the fact of the matter is, that's real honorable. The settlement is honorable. The situation is honorable. And the experience probably was a very unpleasant one. But can you imagine, since 1400, African people have been experiencing conditions way more treacherous than that. And right here in this city, they say they have a situation by which they're gonna at least recognize the wrongdoings of this city in reference to African people. the historical wrongdoings. And we can't get any traction on it. We need traction on reparations. We really do. You can't keep bamboozling African people. You can't keep insulting us, insulting our intelligence, as if we're never, ever, ever going to be equal, as if we're never going to get any kind of equity, as if we're never going to see, we're going to have to pass on our suffering to the next generation, and they have to pass it on to their next generation. African people refuse to live under those circumstances. We cannot, under any circumstances, say we've had from Perry Harvey, Gwendolyn Miller, Reverend Scott, different individuals seated, allegedly representing the African community or District 5, whatsoever they're doing with it now. And none of those representatives have never done a single thing, nothing, for the African community. Nothing. The only thing we've seen done for the African community with an attempt is with Sister Connie Burton and her trying to put forth what's going on with that CRA. Other than that, nothing. Empty promises. It's time for that to change. African people, we don't want to live by that standard anymore. And in these times, you have to also say, long live Palestine.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, if there's no one else in the public that wishes to speak, I'm going to go back to the registered speakers that had trouble logging in, but they're on. We will begin with Mr. Chris Curry. Is he on? Mr. Curry, please unmute yourself and state your name.
Hello, Chris Curry.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead.
Good morning, Council. Appreciate your time today. Just wanted to address item 61. My thoughts are that there are many parking lots that are not correctly compliant and following city code in Ybor City. The code is not adequately being enforced, and Council, I'm asking you today to consider directing resources and the city to adequately enforce the parking code in Ybor. The city has many lots and parking garages that operate and do a great job, and this should be the standard by which all other parking in Ybor City should be judged by. Additionally, I'd like to ask you to ask the legal department for a list of enforcement options that are available to prevent these non-compliant lots from continuing to operate. Red tags, stop work orders, code enforcement, fines, orders of abatement, et cetera, are things that immediately come to mind. I'm not personally allowed to bulldoze my historic house in Ybor City or to cut down grand oak trees or take over alleyways. I would be fined, and all those things would be levied on me, and I'm asking that you look at those same options for the parking operators that are not in compliance as well. This has been an ongoing issue for about 20 plus years, and it's time to start taking steps to sunset these and get rid of them in Ybor. I'd like to also ask that you guys conduct an economic impact study of all surface parking lots in the city of Tampa. A recent article said about 30% of the land downtown is surface parking lots. I believe these lots are detrimental to the goals and growth and plans of the city of Tampa. They're costly to the city in the sense that they pay a fraction of the taxes that developed land does. They compete with city parking lots. One of the few revenue sources for the city of Tampa is parking in addition to property taxes. I believe they're also responsible for additionally a disproportionately high source of crime and drain on police resources. So I'd like to ask you, Council, to ask yourselves honestly how privately owned surface parking lots promote affordable housing, how they promote commercial and residential development, how do they increase urban density, how do they lower taxes or crime or pedestrian fatalities or improve life in any way for the residents of Tampa other than the owners of these parking lots. The city of Tampa is more than capable of building and operating parking lots and garages in the city, and I believe that it should take a hard look at this now. Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much, sir. Next speaker is Elise Beachy on. Mr. Randolph, if you would unmute yourself. Good morning, sir. Please state your name. Michael Randolph.
Hello?
Good morning, sir. Please state your name.
I'm sorry. My name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the West Tampa Community Development Corporation. Just a quick follow-up. As you know, Sarah Thompson was the lady we talked about during the CRA meeting. Her roof having a problem. Well, the update is that she has gotten $5,000 from her job. FEMA is looking at her application. If they don't pass that application, she's still $10,000 short. So we're hoping that someone can call FEMA and help her out. Today I want to talk about an article that's most recent that's concerns chills being divided. This is from the Blvd Foundation, and it's called the Disproportionate Impact of Gun Violence on Black America. Despite accounting for 14% of the population, 50% of African Americans are killed through gun violence. Black people between the age of 18 to 24 are 19 times more likely to be killed by gun violence. Black males under the age of 18 are 14.5% more likely to kill victims by gun violence. Over the last 5 years, get this, there has been a 97.6% increase in homicide among Black youth, a 92% among Black youth between the ages of 8 to 18, and a 34% rate among Black females. There is hope, though. They talked about studies that was done in New York, Chicago, Philly, and these other states to show that we can reduce the propensity towards violence. They mentioned Philly, Chicago, they mentioned California. All of these studies show what can be done to change the narrative when it comes to street violence. On the 30th of this month, we're going to do a follow-up with what works from around the country when it comes to ending the senseless killing. And an 11-year-old was shot in Tampa, just standing on the step. This violence has gotten out of order, and unless we use a new school, next generation approach, I'll be back here again next year saying the same thing. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you very much, sir. Next is James Bort. Is that correct? Ed Austin. All right, Mr. Austin, good morning, sir. Please state your name. You have 3 minutes and unmute yourself.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Please state your name.
Okay, good morning. My name is Ed Austin. As a resident of Ybor City, one of the few National Historic Landmark districts in Florida, I'm writing to you about private paid parking lots in Ybor City. I have 3 points. Number one, the current situation. Private paid lots are everywhere throughout Ybor City. You have all seen the photos. They are not maintained. Crime, trash, noise, broken fences, poor, if any, lighting, etc. And code enforcement by the city is poor. Code complaints are rampant. This would not be tolerated in other city neighborhoods. The lots are a blight on the city, and they compete with city-owned lots. My second point is, why has this gone on for so long? The city has taken well over a year to determine appropriate standards. Why? The city-owned lots currently have a strong standard that includes attendance, appropriate lighting, landscape, etc. Why can't those city standards be applied to privately owned paid lots? Why is city staff trying to reinvent the wheel when the city already uses appropriate standards for themselves? A consistent standard could be immediately enacted, understood by all owners and those who use the lots, and welcomed by Ybor residents, workers, and visitors. My third point is needed next steps. A recently released CRA survey indicates that residents and workers rate parking lot lighting and safety as a high priority. Make this your priority too. Paid lots in Ybor are a blight on a National Historic Landmark District. Clean them up. Private lots compete with the city lots that are rarely at capacity. Make them live by the same standards as city-owned lots. In closing, a safe and walkable neighborhood should be a high priority for the city, with solutions coming sooner rather than later. Parking lots are clearly not the best and highest use of land in a city that continually bemoans the lack of affordable housing and a strained budget. This is not complicated. A simple, understandable solution is waiting for action. Please address this blight on Ybor City with urgency and common sense now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker is Stephanie Harrison. Stephanie Harrison, if you're on, ma'am, please unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes. State your name.
Thank you, Stephanie Harrison here. I will just piggyback on what my neighbor Ed Austin just spoke about, and kind of remind or refresh or maybe enlighten folks. I know that I've been recently enlightened and reminded of how long this discussion about parking lots in Ybor has been going on. It's literally been decades. We had a neighbor last night send us a bunch of news articles and even a YCDC vision plan from the 90s and the early 2000s that, pointed out and pointed to parking lots being an issue here in Ybor City. So it's not new. I think, unfortunately, as humans, our memories are short. So just a reminder about that and this issue that's been going on for a long time. And I also wanted to thank Abby Feely and her team with the zoning department for the PowerPoint slide that you guys will hopefully see a little bit later. It's clear that a lot of work went into that, and I think there's some really good points and some great suggestions in there from zoning. What we as residents have seen to be the weak link is really just code enforcement. Like Ed talked about, we've submitted code complaints over and over and over again for the same handful of problem lots, only to see those code complaints go out the window in weird ways. And it's also unclear how some of the parking lots are operating, given that they never got the required approvals to begin with. So I think there's really 3 points. Number one is we need to figure out how to enforce the code that's already on the books today. To me, that's an easy slam dunk. Number two is to make the zoning updates that Abby and her team are suggesting we make regarding security guards in the private lots. And then number three is the future. I think that it's time that we remove principal use parking as an allowable use in Ybor City. It would, as Ed said, increase revenue to the city via huge increases in our property taxes in the district and also parking revenue. And then we just need to think about, what the future really holds for parking generally. I don't think that all these parking lots or any amount of parking is really going to be necessary in the future as people move away from everybody having their own individual cars and hopefully toward public transportation and shared carpool type things. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you guys for all of your work on this for the last few years and some of you for the last few decades.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. The next speaker, we have Jay Bort. Is that correct? He's not on. So we have David Bailey. Mr. Bailey, if you are on, sir, please unmute yourself and state your name.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Please state your name.
My name is David Bailey. I live in historic Ybor, and my comments are also regarding agenda item 61. To begin with, it's really hard not to laugh when Steve Michelini asked you to slow down. The city literally could not be going any slower. To imply or state that these dirt lots are in compliance is patently false. As others have mentioned, for over 30 years, the residents of Ybor have come to you pleading for help with crime, visual blight, economic blight when it comes to these private parking lots. Again, to remind you, in our national historic landmark district. And as Stephanie mentioned, we'll send you that 2005 vision plan where the city was given guidance on what to do, and that for some reason staff just did not follow. But if you don't even want to listen to the residents, maybe you'll listen to your city departments. Some of the city departments you've heard from are your parking department, and how they monitor city lots, and that's with licensed security guards, and the city follows the zoning code. They regularly have, one of the issues that Chris mentioned is that, we regularly have hundreds of unused parking spaces in our parking garages in Ybor City, not to mention parking in South Ybor that goes unutilized because there are these surface parking lots, taking revenue away from the city. Another department you heard from is the Tampa Police Department that provided statistics on how much higher crime is in private parking lots without security guards versus City of Tampa lots with security guards. We all know about the violence that's been reported in Ybor. TPD has had to add additional officers to monitor these lots because they've known for a long time they're the source of a lot of these issues with illegal drinking and drug use. Crime often ends there and begins there. There's really serious violence that happens. My neighbors and I live across the street from one of these lots. Why would you support policies that dilute TPD having to monitor bad business practices? An interesting thing that Abby Feely did with the zoning department, she reached out to the city of Orlando to see what they do. And not surprising, licensed security guards, closing hours, you have all the information. Everyone in your sphere of importance is telling you, Houston, we have a problem. So what's it going to take for us to make a step forward? And just one last bit of historical irony. Many of these lots used to be African-American homes that were bulldozed in the 70s and 80s in the name of progress and economic light.
Thank you very much, sir.
Nothing's gotten any better.
Thank you, sir. All right, that concludes our public comment. All right, at this time, may I have a motion to open? Wait, sir, are you here for public comment, standing against the wall? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you very much. May I have a motion to open all the public hearings? So moved. We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. Before we go to item 43, Ms. Johns is here. This is very quick. It's about 49 and 50 to withdraw and continue. Ms. Johns, item number 49 is a request to withdraw the item, correct?
Rebecca Johns, Legal Department. 49 and 50 are the same development agreement.
Okay.
If you'll remember, this came for first public hearing. The second public hearing was continued due to some changes that USF requested. Those changes were substantive and thus resulted in the need for a new public notice, so it needs to go back to first hearing. So that made a second item on the agenda. So we just need to withdraw item 49. And the city and developer are still working through the site plan changes, so we need to continue item 50.
May I have a motion to withdraw 49? Motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And then item number 50, may I have a motion to continue to March 7th, 2024? I would assume at 10:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira to continue item number 50. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
And the date, time, and location?
It's
again,
going to
please.
be March 7th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. I'm sorry, 9:30 a.m. No, I'm sorry. I have all these pages in my hand. 10:30 a.m., March 7th, 2024, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 3rd floor.
Thank you very much.
United States. Thank you very much. All right, item number 43.
Thank you.
So item number 43, first let me just say the Cemetery Society is here. A lot of their very hardworking volunteers. I saw Eileen Henderson, Miss Noreen Copeland-Miller and their team. They do amazing work. So, yes ma'am, kick it off.
Okay. Good morning, Council. Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. I'm pleased to be here this morning to discuss the Memorial Park Cemetery and its proposed local historic landmark designation. We have a presentation for you this morning, if that's ready.
Yes ma'am, it'll be right up. right, it's coming, oh, no, that's the wrong one. So while we wait, they're just uploading the presentation. I mentioned the Cemetery Society, they're out there tirelessly working. Such a historic, well, you tell the story. It's a very important cemetery, so go ahead, ma'am, it's gonna come up on the screen.
The Memorial Park Cemetery is located at 2425 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is at the intersection of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and 22nd Street. It's owned by the city of Tampa, and Mayor Castor signed the designation application for this landmark designation on June 14th of this year. The properties are reviewed, there we are, by the Historic Preservation Commission, or the HPC, at a public hearing to determine whether they meet the criteria for local historic designation, and that's found in section 27257 of the city's code of ordinances. Local historic designation preserves landmarks and districts, provides for review of alterations of designated properties, safeguards the heritage of the city, and provides economic benefits. Memorial Park Cemetery was established around 1919, and the image on the left is from the Sanborn Company maps from 1951. That's the first time the cemetery appears on one of these historic maps. It shows the cemetery at the intersection of 22nd Street and what was then called Buffalo Avenue. And the image on the right is the modern-day aerial photograph of the same area. Memorial Park Cemetery is a 20-acre cemetery. It's rectangular in plan, divided into quadrants, and it's landscaped with a variety of vegetation, including oak trees and arbor vitae. When Memorial Park Cemetery opened in 1919, its earliest burials included those of Black American soldiers who had died in France during the Great War. With the 1917 Selective Service Act, about 42,000 Floridians joined the armed services for the Great War. Black American soldiers were placed in segregated regiments and made up about 36% of the Army enlistees from Florida. At that time, Tampa and Hillsborough County lacked a guaranteed final resting place for all veterans. In 1921, the Women's Auxiliary of the American Legion donated 3 acres on Memorial Highway, which is now Kennedy Boulevard, to the American Legion Post 5 for a veterans cemetery. However, this was not open to the Black American soldiers, being in city limits. In 1923, the Women's Auxiliary and the Tampa chapter of the American Red Cross purchased a portion of the Memorial Park Cemetery to be dedicated to Black veterans. The full military funerals included parades of veterans, Red Cross nurses, bands, and firing squads. The cemetery includes at least one veteran of the American Civil War and most of our 20th century wars. The cemetery includes burials that have been relocated from other cemeteries, such as Zion Cemetery, to this site. Some of the graves are from as early as 1906. This includes burials, the cemetery includes burials of those who played significant and diverse roles in the history of the community, including the grave of Christine Meacham, who was an educator and principal at Tampa's Harlem Academy. Dr. Williams, who was the first Black American doctor to perform surgery in the city of Tampa, and those that represent the everyday life in Tampa, such as laundresses, cigar makers, stevedores, nurses, doctors, and ministers. Many of the decorative elements on the grave markers are religious in nature, as was popular in funerary art throughout the 20th century. Other decorative elements on grave markers include headstone portraits and secular symbols representing certain benevolent societies and fraternal organizations. Memorial Park Cemetery meets the requirements of the City Code, Section 27257A for landmark designation. The cemetery was established and achieved significance during the period of historic significance as delineated in the National Register of Historic Places guidelines, which is generally at least 50 years ago. These historic resources are significant. This historic resource is significant in the area of community planning and development, military history, ethnic history, and architecture. It retains its integrity of location, site, and setting. As I stated earlier, the application date was June 14th, 2023. The HPC reviewed and recommended this application for your approval on September 19th, and the Planning Commission staff found the application consistent with the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. Notice has been provided to the owner, the city, to nearby property owners, and to registered organizations. The staff recommendation is therefore that Tampa City Council approve the designation of Memorial Park Cemetery as a local historic landmark based on it meeting the criteria. And as I conclude my presentation, I would like to thank the community and the Friends of Belmont Heights Memorial Park Cemetery for their efforts and collaboration in bringing this forward to you today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation. I learned a lot of new things that I didn't know. And, you know, in comparison, this is a cemetery of pioneers from the black community. Because you're talking, I mean, some of the names that you showed, and that's just a sampling. Like nearby, we have Oaklawn. Oaklawn is the downtown Tampa pioneers. A lot of them are there. Or Woodlawn. And then further up in East Tampa, there's Rest Haven Memorial Cemetery, which has more like the later 20th century movers and shakers. You know, the Florida Sentinel, you have Moses White, you have so many people. But I've driven by this cemetery my entire life. My family's buried at Myrtle Hill down the road. So with my grandmother, we would take MLK. And I know that this has been controversial in the upkeep and the maintenance and everything, but I'm glad to see that we're finally recognizing it for the importance and significance that it has on this community. And again, wonderful presentation. I learned a lot of new things today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am. Councilmember Henderson, Councilmember.
Appreciate it, Chair. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this report. I always love learning history when it comes to our city, especially as it relates to this great landmark. Just really for public comment, this was one of the first things that, you know, I was able to vote on as a member of council. And it says to me that we're moving swiftly for the mayor to sign off on this on June 14th. To move toward a historic landmark is a clear indicator that we're moving in the right direction. The things that we're doing with fencing and recognizing the actual landmark is really important, including the community fighting so hard with love and passion for a sacred ground. So I just really appreciate this report, and it's just another indication that we are moving forward, that we do care about East Tampa, and this is proof that this is evidence of that because of the nature of this particular project. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Councilman Vieira, Councilman Moran.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a couple of things. I always wanted to give kudos to this for just the greatness of what good journalism can do. Paul Guzzo with the Tampa Bay Times. If it wasn't for Mr. Guzzo, a lot of these things wouldn't have come out about a Memorial Park Cemetery, and just the folks who are here who have done so much work. I know Ms. Noreen Copeland Miller has just, it's from all of y'all, it's from the heart, but your grandfather is buried there. He was a private in World War II. And that's something that is so meaningful. You know, I always, we talk a lot about our Vietnam veterans today who were 70, 71, 80 years old, et cetera, and the welcome that they got when they came home, which was people yelling at them, people spitting on them, people attacking them. Our African-American soldiers from the Civil War to the Vietnam War got that and even worse. Many of them, like Hosea Williams, were beaten in uniform. A lot of our great civil rights heroes, Hosea Williams got a Purple Heart in World War II. Medgar Evers, before he was murdered in Jackson, Mississippi in 1963, served his country in Normandy in World War II. Reverend Ralph Abernathy. So many of our great civil rights heroes wore that uniform, and it meant a lot to them because they were saying, I love my country that is not going to stand up for me so much that I'm going to stand up for it against Japanese bullets, against German bullets, against North Korean bullets, against Vietnamese bullets. And they came home and demanded that level of respect. And the World War I is very relevant because we saw a big expansion in white supremacist racial terror after World War I, because a lot of our veterans who were African American returned home and they said, you know, we're just 50 years after the end of Reconstruction, 45 years, and it's about time that we get some respect, and we're going to, you know, ask for it by putting on that uniform. And guess what they got? Disrespect. Great disrespect. So for me, this is wonderful, but I just wanted to salute Mr. Guzzo and all the folks with the Cemetery Society, including Ms. Copeland Miller, you know, who has her grandfather there. That's a big deal. This is like very meaningful on our American journey and what it really means to be an American and appreciate how we got to where we are today. That's very important.
Thank you very much. Councilman Miranda, then Councilman Clinton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Along with the colleagues of mine here on City Council that have spoken, if it wasn't for working together with the City Council and the administration. However, the ones that really carry the vote, the workload, are right here to the left. The volunteers who spend hundreds and thousands of hours to make sure that these cemeteries, especially this one, is given the courtesy that it should have had many years ago. But I want to thank the volunteers for doing the work, you know, and they do it at NC. I mean, no cash. They do it because of the love and the desire to honor those who helped the city get where it's at today and have in some way been forgotten. But just across the street, we have the young kids playing one of the greatest parks in America as far as sports is concerned. I remember when West Tampa and the park that's right there in the corner, those kids can see what gave them the opportunity to have that park there to play, because the heroes who gave their life to make America a better place to live. I want to thank each and one of you individually. God bless you.
Councilman Clinton.
Sort of echoing what Councilman Miranda just said, you know, I do appreciate Noreen Copeland Miller and what you've done, and since I've been on council from almost, I believe it was one of our first meetings that I participated in, and everybody else from historic Belmont Heights. If there's a heart of historic Belmont Heights, it is this cemetery. It's one that I've walked it. I don't know how many times I've walked through there and contemplated, because I'm kind of like that. I believe you have to remember where you were to know where you are. And so those folks that have come before us have paved the way for the things that we enjoy today. I believe in that very first meeting, I wanted to make sure that we fenced that entire property and the fence was appropriate and that the neighbors were consulted. And the neighborhood was consulted to what that aesthetic looked like and make sure that it was appropriate for such a significant historical cemetery for not just the city of Tampa, but the state of Florida and our entire nation. So I'm fully in support of this. I think that is long overdue, and I look forward to celebrating it being completely fenced, protected, and restored to its magnificent glory. Thank
Councilman Clinton. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Carlson. I'm looking at his microphone. I'm very much yes, sir. Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I want to thank those who are here, and I know that you all brought lots of people with you, and there are lots of people that are volunteering with you over the last few years. This is for anybody watching for the first time, this is an issue that's been out for about 3 years or more. This was a privately owned cemetery, and when the patriarch died, it was left in a situation where only volunteers really were keeping up, and so these folks and others went out every day and worked to keep it up, and they started coming before us. And then another private owner got a hold. You all can Google all the stories about it, but it's been a long 3-year struggle, and for lots of different pieces of this, it's a multi-decision thing that we've been working on, and many times volunteers give up along the way, and these folks. And the folks who help them have been working really, really hard, tirelessly, in honor of their ancestors and all the other people who are buried there. So thank you all for your help and support, and thanks for everybody who's helped to support this important history.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I just want to echo my council members' congratulations. This is a long-fought win. It is not quite done yet. This is great. getting the historic designation. But what's really going to be the cherry on top is finishing both the memorial and the fence. But the great news is we've talked about that last week. We're actually really moving along in all of these issues, and I'll say for government, that's pretty good. So the good thing is we also know that the Cemetery Society will not let us drop the ball, and that you will be here to continue and make sure that this cemetery gets the recognition it so badly deserves and has deserved for many years. And I'm really, there was a lot of drama that went through it, but I'm really proud now that it is a city asset and that we're going to treat it like a city asset. I'm very excited for that because it gives us a sense of relief, I believe, that it is in city hands and that it cannot be sold, it cannot be moved, nothing can happen to this cemetery again. And that, I believe, is one of the things that is so important to the city and the community as we find more of these cemeteries and grapple with what we as a city want to do with them. So I want to thank everyone, thank Ms. Lund for all the work she did behind this and all the rest of staff, but also, of course, the wonderful Cemetery Society.
Thank you very much. Let's go to public comment. We have quite a few members of the public here. Please state your name and go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Noreen Copeland Miller, and I'm the founder of the Friends of Belmont Heights Memorial Park Cemetery. I'm going to ask our board members if they would stand up and come forward from the Friends, because we can't do any of this by ourselves. It takes all of us. Everybody is not here, but those that are here, I certainly want them to know how much they're appreciated and that we know that we are being heard and we are grateful. I want to start off by saying thank you to Dennis Fernandez and his wonderful staff. It's been an honor to work with them for months, but he's always included us in that process. And for that, I'm just very grateful. They have truly embraced community engagement, community involvement. Not only did they hear us, they listened, worked with us. We've had numerous meetings. He came in the community, met with us at Lee Davis Advisory Resource Center. We've gone to his office, met with him. We worked on the draft with them, the presentation. We were included in that process. And for that, we're very grateful because none of this could have not happened without all of us working together. This is truly all we want, to work with the city to make our community a better place. I am very grateful for Ms. Eileen Henderson for introducing me to that monument that's in the cemetery. I had no idea, and I would go in there all the time because my grandfather is not buried too far from it. But I never took the time to go over there and read until we started doing the cleanups and this. This has been an ongoing process. When Ed Johnson was city manager, we as a community had to beg for signage. But I'll give him that credit. He put the fence up front, put that sign there that says Memorial Park Cemetery. Because for centuries, decades, we had nothing but a verbal name, nothing written. But at least we have that. But now we know we're going to get what we truly deserve, and for that, we're very grateful. We don't take it lightly. We are honored that we were able to do the work. And the most historical thing today, this is so good for East Tampa. Thank you guys for all you do. Thank you for your support. This is something good that we're going to share with everybody, highlight how great there are some good things going on in East Tampa, and this is one of them. We're going to embrace this. This is great news. So the real historical part is this cemetery is the center of Tampa and Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission did it during the 21st century. They did a survey research, and they noted that that cemetery is in the heart of Tampa. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to working with you all.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
And I don't know if anybody, other members would like to say.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name.
Yes, my name is Cynthia O. Keaton, and I just would like to say that it is such a good thing that this is happening for us. I grew up down the street from the cemetery, and I used to walk to school going through there, and sometimes we used to go through the cemetery because it was more fun to do that. But anyway, I'm just so elated because I'm part of Post 5 that has the cemetery over on Kennedy. And they have been influenced on helping this event to happen. I got some of the history that I just started crying about to know that this was happening back in the day. I grew up in the 50s, so I know what segregation was all about. And I'm just so grateful for you all and what you all have done to make this happen. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to speak?
Okay, I'm gonna speak. Okay.
You go.
Go ahead. We're gonna see her. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Please say your name.
Eileen Henderson. Today's a good day.
Yes.
It is always something special when you get to see the fruits of your labor.
It's all right.
And for the historic Belmont Heights neighborhood, that is exactly what is happening today. Clearly, I am in favor of moving the local historic landmark designation forward for Memorial Park Cemetery, and I hope all of you are as well. I want to give thanks to the Historic Preservation Commission. Dennis Fernandez and Elaine Lund have been stellar. Thank you to Nicole Travis. She, without doubt, was instrumental in purchasing Memorial Park Cemetery and continues to oversee the best interest of the cemetery. Thank you, Council. Thank you. The unwavering support has not gone unnoticed, and please know, we know it continues. Thank you to the Belmont Heights community. How fortunate am I to have had the opportunity to get to know so many of you and see historic Belmont Heights through their lenses. And finally, thank you to Miss Noreen Copeland Miller. You are a warrior, the face of Memorial Park Cemetery, a rock star. Your efforts to do right by your family buried there in the cemetery are tireless and endless. This designation would not be happening without you. I am honored to know you and learn from you. Council, please support her labors so she can taste the fruit, so we can all taste the fruit. How sweet it is indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, please state your name.
Hi, my name is Simon Rowe. I currently live about 5 minutes away from Memorial Park Cemetery. I haven't always lived in Tampa, but in the short time I've been here, I've seen the kind of love and support that goes towards every cemetery here in Tampa, but especially Memorial Park Cemetery. I am glad to see that there is something being done to show respect for the many souls that are buried there. And I'm glad to see that kind of respect for the Black community here in Tampa. Buying the cemetery was a big first step. Another big step is designating this site as a historic landmark, and I'm excited to see the next step of putting up fencing around the cemetery. History needs to be maintained. It's not something that can be left to the sidelines. It's something we have to spend our present working on so we can have a future and preserve the legacy for future generations here in Tampa. I believe it was said at one of the Belmont Heights Neighborhood Association meetings that East Tampa history is Tampa history. Memorial Park Cemetery is Tampa history. It's all history, and it deserves to be respected. So I'm glad to see it's getting the respect it deserves here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, Yes, sir. Please say your name.
Yes, my name is Alfredo, last name is Morani, Canadian name from Canada, but I grew up right here in Tampa. But I just want to let you know that I see the sincere, genuine support that the council has mustered up to support this effort. And I really want to say thank you and wish you would continue to support us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All righty. Ms. Feely, are you coming up?
I am, just for a second. I just wanted to
Please
say,
state your name.
sorry, Abby Feely, Deputy Administrator, Development Growth Management. I just wanted to take a moment. I heard from Dennis Fernandez very early this morning that he was ill and he could not be here today. And I know the amount of effort that he and Elaine had put into working with the group in order to get this. Once we owned it, we knew we were going to designate it, and that's what we set out to do. So just wanted, I think he's watching on TV, so just a shout out to that team and the recognition that was received from the community. So thank you, and the partnership. Thank you.
And I want to mention Dennis and Elaine. I think they have one of the coolest jobs in the city because I've learned so much from them over the years. They get to see the history, preserve the history, protect the history, and they have a very important job. So thank you to them. Councilmember Clendenin.
Shout out to Dennis, and hope you feel better, and congratulations on us moving this forward.
All right, if there's nothing further, I'm going to ask for a motion to close.
Motion closed.
We have a motion to close from Councilman Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
And Councilmember Henderson, would you mind reading it?
I would take great pleasure in doing so. Thank you, Chair. I move file number HPC 23-07-C, an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, designating Memorial Park Cemetery located at 2425 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3 hereof as a local historic landmark, providing for a repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Motion from Councilmember Henderson, second from Councilmember Clendenin. Let's get a roll call vote.
Herzog?
Yes.
Clendenin?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Miranda?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Maniscalco?
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, congratulations. Yes, sir, Mr. Shelby. Oh, go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Second reading and adoption.
Second reading and adoption will be held on March 7th at 9:30
Sorry.
March 7th, 9:30 a.m.
At Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much. All right, thanks. Enjoy your day. Congratulations. All right, item number 3 is a Scrivener's error. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Good morning, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the City Council. Susan Johnson Velez, Legal Department. Item number 3 is an ordinance correcting a Scrivener's error to the ordinance which approved and adopted TACPA 23-16. It's a comprehensive plan amendment. There was a delay between the time that the comprehensive plan amendment was originally scheduled before City Council to the time it was actually heard, and in the interim, folio numbers were changed on the 2 parcels in question, and so this ordinance just corrects the prior ordinance by substituting the correct folio numbers. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No? Councilmember Miranda, would you mind reading item number 3?
No, file number PA/CPA 23/16. Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance amendment, ordinance number 2024/5, passed and ordained by the City Council of the City of Tampa on January the 11th, 2024, correcting a Scrivener's error in the body of the ordinance by updating the incorrect folio numbers that were provided in error and substituting by the correct folio number, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Yes, ma'am. Item number 4, are you taking
Thank you,
that
Mr.
one too?
Chair. Yes, item number 4 is also ordinance correcting a Scrivener's error to TACPA 23-15, another comprehensive plan amendment. This was just some changes were made to the text of the amendment, and those weren't accurately reflected in the original Exhibit A that was attached to the prior ordinance, and so this just attaches the correct text amendment language.
Councilmember Hurtak.
Before we move on to this one, do we need to set the second reading for the first one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The second reading?
And, yeah,
It was
for
a
the first
Scrivener's
one, we
error
just
for number
did,
3.
the Scrivener's error, and
I heard it.
then,
No, she didn't say it.
no, and then Councilmember Carlson wasn't here, so.
So let's,
Okay, you just said it was it was a unanimous vote
With
with
Carlson.
Councilmember Carlson being absent, and then second reading and adoption would be,
Second reading and adoption will be held on March 7th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
thank you very much. Is there anything further on item number 4?
Nothing further, Mr. Chair.
All right, Councilmember Vieira, would you mind reading item 4?
Yes, sir, my pleasure. I move an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2023-161, passed and ordained by City Council at the City of Tampa on November 16, 2023, correcting a Scrivener's error by substituting a corrected Exhibit A for the previously approved Exhibit A that was provided in error, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Please read the vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Carlson being absent at vote. Second hearing and adoption will be held on March 7th, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. at Old City Hall, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you very much. Let's go to consent agenda. The first one is Councilmember Vieira with public safety, 5 through 8.
Yes, sir. I move items 5 through 8, and I do want to give a shout out on the donation of the police canine Oakley, and thank Oakley for their work for the city. The dogs are awesome. Thank you.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira with the motion, second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Councilmember Henderson, 9 through 15.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move files number 9 through 15 for Parks, Recreation, and Cultural.
We have a motion from Councilmember Henderson, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Councilmember Hurtak, 17 through 22.
Yes, I move items 17 through 22.
We have a motion from Councilmember Hurtak. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Miranda, Finance Committee.
Thank you. Move items 23 through 28.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Councilmember Clendenin, 29 through 37.
I move items 29 through 37.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilmember Clendenin,
I
items
move-
38 through 41.
I move items 38 through
Second.
41.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Councilmember Miranda, would you like to set item number 42?
42 for review hearing, sir, on April the 18th, 2024, at 10 a.m. in the morning. Item number, no, that's what we've already done. And that's it.
All right, we're setting the public hearing for item number 42 by Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Item number 43 we already took care of. We go to second readings, 44, 5, and 6. 44 is non-quasi judicial. Who will be speaking on item number 44? This is another historic preservation exemption. Yes, ma'am.
Council Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff. There was a full presentation on this item at the first reading, but I'm available to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions or comments? Nope. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 44?
Second.
I don't see anyone. There's nobody registered. We have motion to close from Councilman Clendenin, second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Clendenin, would you mind reading this?
I move file number HTX 24-2211, an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance approving an historic preservation property tax exemption application relative to the restoration, renovation, and rehabilitation of certain properties owned by A1A Tampa Bay, Inc., located at 1208 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida, in the West Tampa multiple properties listings, based upon certain findings, providing for notice to the property appraiser of Hillsborough County, providing for severability, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilman Vieira. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Herzog and Carlson being absent at vote.
Thank you very much. All right, items 45 and 46 are quasi judicial, which means if you are going to be speaking on these items, please stand, raise your right hand, and we will swear you in. If you're going to be speaking on 45 or 46, please stand, raise your right hand, we will swear you in.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. All right, and Councilmember Henderson, you were absent at 45 and 46.
Yes, I
Did you
was.
review the record?
Yes, I did.
So you are okay to vote?
I am okay to vote.
Yes, ma'am. All right, item number 45. I see LaShawn Dock on. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, council. Thank you. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Council, item 45 is before you this morning for second reading. This is REZ 2261. It's for the properties located at 3602 North 50th Street and 3501 North 46th Street. This request was to rezone the property from RM16 residential multifamily to PD plan development to allow the use of funeral parlor and cemetery. Site plans have been provided and certified. They were provided to the clerk, and I am available if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Dock? No? All right. Is there an applicant? Yes, sir. You're back.
I'm back.
You were in TPD before? Or you were just here in the legal
4
department?
years ago, yes.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm back. Well, good morning. Good to see you again. Colin
sir.
Rice here with the law firm of Older Lundy, 1000 West Cass. I've been sworn here with my colleague Stacy Yates, also from Older Lundy. Happy to answer any questions. We respectfully request your approval this morning.
All right, do we have any questions for the gentleman? No? All right, do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item, item number 45?
Chairman, 1 second before we close. This
Yes,
is a
sir.
4-2 vote. It was a 2 vote. There's only 6 members here. If it's, 5 members here. If we take this vote, it may not pass. I think you better have Mr. Vieira come in or Mr. Clendenin.
No, Mr. Clendenin is here. If Mr. Carlson is here and Mr. Vieira, if they could. You didn't? Okay, if Mr. Vieira can.
I mean, I'm just telling about
Just
the
as-
numbers.
no, I know.
I'm not trying to.
I know.
I'm just trying to speed things up.
Councilman Vera and Councilman Carlson.
All right, just a moment. Thank you very much.
I'm trying to be as fair as I can.
No, you're right. I'm looking at the numbers, so.
Do you want to do the other one?
Wait.
They should be coming.
All right.
Why don't we hold this in?
Councilman Vieira, I just don't know where Councilman Carlson.
All right, let's hold item 45, sir, just to be fair and give it a moment. So we have item number 46, and then we'll go back to 45. Item number 46, yes, ma'am, Ms. Dock?
Yes, thank you, Chairman and Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item 46 is REZ 2358. This item is before you for second reading. This is for the property located at 3301 West Iowa Avenue. The request is to rezone the property from RS60 residential single family to RS50 residential single family. And this is a Euclidean rezoning. There is no site plan associated with this request. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Dock? No? Mr. Michelini, yes, sir, please state your name.
Steve Michelini, I was representing the petitioner. This originally passed unanimously. We had no opposition, and it reorients the property and consistent with the neighborhood. Respectfully request your approval.
Any questions for the applicant? No? Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 46? We have motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. All right, Councilmember, did I leave off with you? Councilmember Hurtak, would you mind reading 46?
No problem.
Thank you.
File number REZ 23-58, ordinance presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 3301 West Iowa Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classification RS60 residential single family to RS50 residential single family, providing an effective date.
Second. We have a motion from Councilmember Hurtak, second from Councilmember Vieira. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with Carlson being absent at vote.
Thank you, council.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll go back to item number 45. Councilman Vieira, you were out of the room. Are you good with the vote?
Yes, and yeah, so what I typically do, not to give out inside baseball or whatever, is whenever I have to leave the room to use the restroom or whatever, I put the YouTube on and listen, so yeah, I ran that.
The YouTube.
Yeah, TMI,
The
TMI.
YouTube.
Where'd we leave it? Did you have a motion in a second, Mr. Chair? No.
Did we have a no, we didn't read it. It would go. Yeah. So, Councilmember Hurtak just read, Councilmember Miranda was a no vote at the beginning, so Councilmember Vieira, would you read 45?
Was there a vote to close?
No, I had a motion to close, but we did not get a second yet.
Let's do it. Okay, so Councilmember Clendenin closed item number 45, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor? Aye. All right, the hearing is closed. Councilman Vieira, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, sir, my pleasure. We'll move an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption ordinance approving a special magistrate's report and recommendation rezoning property in the general vicinity of 3602 North 50th Street and 3501 North 46th Street in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 2 from zoning district classification RM16 residential multifamily to PD plan development, providing an effective date.
Do we have a second? Second from Councilmember Clendenin. Please record your vote.
Motion carried unanimously with,
Wait, what do we have here?
oh, I'm sorry. Motion failed.
Wait a second.
It's a tie vote. Is Bill?
Let me just see.
Councilman Carlson will not be returning for right now.
Okay, may we have that vote again, please? How, you brought it up, can you bring it up?
The motion fails with a tie vote.
Motion failed with Miranda, Henderson, and Hurtak voting no, and Carlson absent at vote.
So, Mr. Shelby, considering the circumstances, does this get continued to the next regular city council meeting when we have a full council, which I believe is what, March 7th at this point?
Yes.
So that's 48. Yeah, 48 as well, has the same problem.
I was going to ask, again, without, is Councilman Carlson gone for the time being, or is he gone for the rest of the day? Without, if you can, I know things happen.
Right, just right now for the time being.
Okay.
I just don't know if he'll be returning. I might have a little bit more information for you shortly.
I get it, things happen.
FYI, I'm gonna be leaving in like 10 minutes too, because I have an event with the students over it, so.
So, Mr. Shelby, Councilmember Clendenin is going to be leaving in a few minutes. Councilmember Carlson is not here right now. And is it possible to retake the vote when we have a full council later this afternoon after lunch?
Somebody could have a motion to reconsider
No.
and vote it.
My suggestion, unfortunately, is what it would do, it would leave this hearing just.
Put your mic.
I'm sorry, I can't, I used to have a lavalier microphone. This is, let's try it again. My suggestion is, without knowing when Councilmember Carlson would be back, it's important to have a hearing continuity with a continuance to a date and time and location certain, so that the public who is watching this or is participating or is a party to it knows when to come back and when it is done. We don't know when this will be heard again, if it'll be heard again, and the later on in the day, unless that's something you'd like to wish to have this just remain open until the end of the day.
Move to open.
Move to reopen this item.
It is open, but go ahead.
Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Hurtak, just so the record's clear. Yes, sir.
Mr. Rice, now knowing what you know with a 3-3 tie, what is your pleasure with regard to whether this comes back at the next regular meeting per the council's rules? Or you can, if you don't have an objection, allow it to come back towards the end of the day and see if.
Well, Mr. Shelby,
Yes.
it's come to my knowledge here that Councilmember Carlson will not be returning today.
Well, if that's the case, then
I would recommend taking the March 7th regularly scheduled city council meeting, just so we have the opportunity for a fair hearing and a full council. Yes, sir, Councilmember Miranda, and your microphone, sir.
If I may, can we put that number 1 on the agenda or something, so they don't have to be delayed again?
Yeah, let's do that right after public comment, that we take your item out of professional courtesy. So if that's okay, we'll leave it at that. And Mr. Shelby, do I just leave the hearing open at this time?
It's, now it's a motion to continue it.
All right, so we have a motion to continue,
And
Councilman
question,
Vieira?
if I may, today's what, February 16th?
Your next
15th.
regular
Can we not
meeting
do
is.
it next week?
We don't have a regular meeting. And
We have a
workshop.
workshop.
and workshop.
Motion to continue.
Motion to
I
continue
mean, unless,
until March
unless, unless you
7th.
want to set it for okay?
No, we'll do a motion to continue to March 7th, placed first on the agenda right after public comment. Councilmember Clendenin's made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
And
Thank you
again,
very much.
and again, the date and time and place.
March 7th, right after public comment, which we could say 9:30 a.m.
9:30 a.m.?
315 East Kennedy Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33602, third floor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
yes,
And
ma'am.
what about 48?
Wait, so, Councilmember Clendenin will be leaving in a few minutes, but he's gonna be coming back after lunch. Councilmember Carlson will not be here for the rest of the day. This has nothing to do with your case, but we have, all right, Ms. Johnson-Velez, if you would clarify for 48?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Susan Johnson, Velez Legal Department. So item number 48 was continued to this agenda due to a tie vote from council. So we think it's best if we have a full council for that vote. And I have spoken to the applicant who was here, who would agree with the continuance to the March 7th date. She can confirm that if you would.
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Hurtak.
Can I also say to ask that this one be put directly after the one we just,
So we would
So right
set
after
this
public
for
comment?
9:30 a.m. after, this would be for March 7th, 2024, 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, third floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602, directly after
public comment.
the,
Previous hearing.
the previous hearing, which was item number 45. So it'll be second after that, right after public comment. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Clendenin, second from Councilmember Hurtak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that brings us to item number 47, but we're going to have 5 city council members, with 1 city council member returning after lunch. Can we perhaps visit 47 when we return from lunch, so we at least have 6 members? Yes,
should we hear from the applicant and see if they want a full council?
who is the applicant in this case?
The applicant's representative's coming forward now.
Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
My name is Caroline Bennett. I am the representative of the applicant. I'm concerned because if we hear it now and there's only 5 of you, and the vote is 3-2 against, I don't know, then the rest of the people vote? What happens? I don't understand what happens.
It would die at that.
My thing would lose because it would die?
If it becomes 3-2, 4-1 against, there's the
3-2.
risk instead
3-2
of
would
having
die.
7.
So, but after,
I'm sorry.
pardon?
Yes,
If-
sir, Mr. Shelby.
If it's less than 4 votes, if a motion in a quasi-judicial matter fails to receive at least 4 votes, the motion fails. And if another motion in order is not made, like in this case, a motion to continue, the public hearing shall be automatically reopened and continue to a time certain at the next regularly scheduled council meeting. And what happens then is the absent members would then be responsible for reviewing the record and viewing the hearing, and then coming back, and it would be opened only for the purposes of having questions answered. The hearing would be then closed, and a vote would then be taken.
And then if you have 6 votes, it could be a 3-3 vote, and then it could die there. And then.
Well, I thought if it's a 3-3 vote, doesn't the absent council person get to vote at a later date if it's a tie?
That you all get to vote. It comes back.
It would come back when there's a full council for a revote, and then you have the opportunity for a 4-3 in that
Okay,
sense. So you
so
have 2 scenarios.
if there's only 5 council members and it's a 3-2 vote, does it come back when there's a full
No.
council, or is it dead?
No, it's
No.
not dead. No, it depends. If a motion to affirm a decision fails on a 3-2 vote, another motion to continue it could be in order, or a motion to deny could be in order. And whatever motion takes the first vote of 4 is what is the council's action that the council takes on the item.
Councilmember Hurtak.
I do believe that the applicant has the chance to hear it at a later date if we don't have a full council. Is that correct, Mr. Shelby?
Actually, it exactly says this. If at a quasi-judicial public hearing, only 4 members of council are available to take action, then the petitioner shall have the right to continue the matter until there's a minimum of 5 members. If there is less than a full council, then a petitioner may request to continue a matter, but it will not be as a matter of right. So if there's only 4 members and they request a continuance, that is granted as a matter of right. But as long as there are 5 members, then the petitioner may still request it, but it is ultimately council's decision as to whether to grant that request.
Can I make a suggestion? I'm speaking to a group of students of the Cuban Club at noon. I don't know how long it'll last, but I'm sure I'll be back here by 1. If we take an early lunch, I will detail it back here as fast as I can. At least you have me back here.
Okay, if there's going to be 6 of you after lunch, and a 3-3 tie means that an opportunity will be granted in the future for Councilman Carlson to vote, then I'm willing to proceed after lunch.
Okay. Wait, is it appropriate to allow the gentleman in the back to speak, Mr. Shelby? Since this is the applicant representative?
Property owner.
That's the property owner.
Oh,
Correct, of the original application that's under review.
Well, I believe
I'm
he
the
has to.
representative of the applicant.
You're the
You're
representative of the
representing this
applicant. Well, the property owner, are you the property, may you step forward, please, sir?
okay.
If you could
Yeah.
just state your name
Yes,
for
sir,
the
please
record.
state your name.
My name is Justin Houston. I live at 2802 West Bay Avenue.
And are you the property owner or representative of the
I am
applicant?
the property owner.
Okay. Now, you've heard what the situation is relative to this. Do you have a position as to?
I do have a position, and I apologize to everybody. I'm a teacher. I get 2 personal days a year. I just used 1. I've left my daughter's 6th grade play early this morning to be here because of how important this is. And
So you're asking it to be heard today, is what you're saying?
yes, sir, but I actually have to go back to work after lunch. I would have to use more time to get here.
You're in good hands with the applicant representative.
No.
Wait.
That's the opposition.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you.
We're
okay, I'm sorry,
opposing
I'm
each
sorry.
other's views.
No, then I retract that comment.
You are good at it. No problem.
I know.
It's happened to me before.
So that being the case, sir, what is your pleasure?
My pleasure is to proceed now, if that's possible, and I know this is a hardship on city council, and I apologize for that. I guess I'm stuck at this point.
If I may I?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, we have a teacher here who is taking a day off. We can hear from the other side, but I'm fine with proceeding now. I just think that's the courteous thing to do, and if we have a challenge with votes, then we have a challenge with votes.
So,
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Susan Johnson, Ms. Bennett represents the petitioner in this case. So
Okay, I
it's a-
apologize. I thought it
it's a-
was.
It's a review hearing from
Third-party review?
somebody who's not the property owner, a grief party, so.
And if I may, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
So
sir.
you think
Yeah, and
I
it
would?
may need to be that if, I don't know where the votes are gonna fall on this at all, but it may be that it comes back after lunch and then you take the risk that you have to return back to work, but, so, just, I'm fine with whichever way.
What did you say is the applicant what?
Question for council. Will you be prepared to work through lunch? Do you still intend to take a lunch? Will you break the hearing for lunch, or will you take this through to completion and then take lunch?
We don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I'm willing to work through lunch, through breakfast, the next day to get this done.
Yeah, I'm fine with working forward, but again, this is not our decision. This is the applicant's decision right now as to, what the applicant wants to do. Let's hear from the applicant and then we can make a decision.
Yes, Ms. Johnson-Velez said that I am the petitioner, and I'm going to tell you what my concern is right now. If the vote is 3-2 against my petition, I'm done. Whereas the 2 council members that aren't present might have voted to make it 4-3, and I would have won. A 3-3, I still get the opportunity for the 4th vote. So that's my concern, is that by allowing it to go ahead with only 5 council members, I'm dead in the water without having a hearing of the first full council. So if you want to hear it now, and if it's 3-2, if you can guarantee me that you'll continue it so that the other 2 can view the recording and then vote.
We can't guarantee. We have to listen to the evidence.
Then I'm risking losing everything, and I've put a lot of time and money into this.
Do you wish to Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. A 3-2 does not fail. on this case. A quasi-judicial matter, in order for a decision to be made on a development order, requires, per the charter, 4 votes for council to take action. If it only gets 3 votes, council has not taken an action, whether it's to affirm or to deny.
Oh.
So what happens in that case is the hearing is automatically reopened per council's rules, and it's brought back to the next regular meeting, at which time, between that time and the time of the hearing, the absent members review the record and come back prepared to vote. And then the motion is to close the hearing, read the title again, and then the full council votes. That is what the process is. A 3-2 does not mean that you're denied the opportunity of the other 2 council members either affirming it or denying it.
All right, then I'm ready to continue.
You want to go ahead with today's hearing? All right, is that all right with council? Okay, let's begin. Item number 47, everybody's been sworn in. Go ahead.
Good morning again, Council. Susan Johnson Velez, Legal Department. Item number 47 is a petition for review of Variance Review Board Case number 23-55. The property address is 2802 West Bay Avenue. The original applicant for this VRB application were Justin and Christine Houston. The request was to remove 2 grand oaks for a garage and home addition. There was a hearing before the Variance Review Board back in October, and the VRB vote, before the board, the applicant cited the following as a basis for a hardship. And so I just wanted to remind council, so keep in mind, when someone asks for a variance, they're asking to do something that's not allowed under the code. And so you have to show that there is a hardship in order to grant the variance. And so that's kind of a threshold question for the VRB to consider and for council to consider in your review. So the applicant cited the following as a basis for hardship in its application: an increase in crime and the need for security, the benefit of having a garage in bad weather, and also decrease in the chance of slip and falls while trying to avoid inclement weather while bringing children into their home. Natural Resources staff for the city found the request inconsistent because the proposed additions to the property could be reasonably reconfigured while preserving the 2 trees that are sought for removal. And again, the VRB determined that the request indeed was supported by the code and met the criteria for granting a variance. And so, but the vote was 4-2, so it was not a unanimous vote. It was a 4-2 vote for approval. And the petitioner, MC Graham, before you this morning, brought the petition to challenge the approval by the Variance Review Board, which would allow for the removal of these 2 trees. So I've just passed out packets of information to council that provides rules of procedure, which have both been provided to both the petitioner, who is represented by Ms. Bennett, and also Mr. Houston, and they have agreed to the procedures that are set forth before you. I have also provided relevant sections of the City of Tampa Code, Section 27-80, which provides the application of the variance power and provides the 5 criteria that the Variance Review Board and which council should consider in reviewing this application. The second code section, actually I provided just the relevant portion of it. It's Code Section 27-61J2, and you'll see that there's not, the number is not on the top of the page, but it is the third handout in your packet, and there's a 2 in parentheses review of board decision, and that's the start of the relevant code section there. And then Code Section 27-284.2.5, which is the code section that governs permits for grand tree removal. There is, in the standard of review for matters under Section 27-61J2 is de novo. Council may accept new evidence, take public testimony, and then determine whether the applicant has shown that in this case, the variance should have been denied because of failure to meet the criteria for granting a variance. So staff, city staff here with me this morning, Mr. Stephen Eister, who is the forester examiner for the city, and he will provide an overview of the application and the reasons for his finding of inconsistency. And then I will come back at the end of the hearing and to describe council's possible actions after hearing evidence. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have now, procedurally or otherwise. Otherwise, I will ask Ms. Bennett to come forward.
Any questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, Mr. Shelby.
If we could take this opportunity to receive and file all the written documentation, ex parte communications.
We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Henderson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
If there have been any ex parte verbal communications, please disclose them. Thank you.
No. Mr. Vieira, I'm going to hand this off to you. I'm just going to use the restroom.
Sorry, just to clarify, Mr. Eister is going to present his report first and findings first.
Hello, I am Stephen Eister with Natural Resources. I'm the forester examiner for this petition. I did submit a PowerPoint, if we can pull that up. If not, I have it on a flash drive.
So for the public, they're putting in the PowerPoints, take about a minute. So.
Yeah. Oh, and while they're doing that, I showed up after the swearing in, so I have not been sworn.
Okay, if you don't mind, be ready. If you don't mind, ma'am, thank you.
I don't think I've been sworn.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
There we go. I think.
All right, let's get started.
Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
All right, so this is gonna be a quick rundown of what was, yep. For what was presented during the VRB case originally in October.
There's a clicker for you.
So the original case was VRB 2355. This covers the information Susan went over. There was the original vote in October, 4-2. This is a map of the site. As you can see, it's a RS50 lot. This lot is larger than normal. It's approximately 70 by 200. These are the two grand trees in question. So grand tree, they're connected at the base, so it's kind of like a all or nothing kind of situation. Grand tree one, they're both live oaks. One measures 47 inches, one measures 42 inches. They're both rated C8 with mitigation values of 3 and 4. This is a photo of the trees. So as you guys look at the photo, on the left, that's kind of a far out photo of how the trees are interacting with the house currently. And then on the right side is a close up, and you can see the two trunks, the one that leans towards the home and then the other one that's more upright. This is the site how it currently exists. So you can see the 2-story home, and then they have the driveway, and then the trees are off to that right side. There's a 42 and 43 shown on the survey. This is option 1. This is the proposed plan. That includes a 2-story garage and a addition to the rear. The trees are located in that front right corner. As you can see, they fall within the footprint of the garage. This is alternative site plan 1, which shows no garage, but the addition could be completed and the trees are preserved. This is alternative 2, which pushes the garage even back to where the addition was, and then the driveway would be extended out with the addition to the rear of that. These are things to consider when evaluating a tree removal variance. Some of the things included in my staff report were option 2 and 3, preserve the grand trees on site. Option 2 does not meet the objectives of the property owner. Option 3 shifts the garage and the room addition out of the protective radii of the grand oaks. And this would require the driveway to be expanded using impervious material installed on grade. And then as just some additional options to explore, I asked the applicant to maybe explore the options of a portico, which would lessen the impacts to the trees but still provide a cover. This would reduce the impacts to the trees, but overall doesn't provide the secure closed garage for them. And then I'm available for any questions at any point.
Sir, I was watching your testimony in the back.
Yes.
It's 2 trees in question?
2 trees, 2 grand
And-
trees in question that are connected at the base. I have some photos too.
And did you mention, if this is an appropriate question, how old those trees are?
I cannot give you an age on the trees. You know, the best way to age a tree is after it's been removed, and that's
Yeah,
kind of the,
obviously, so.
yeah. So let's see if I can flip over here. So as you can see, these are the 2 grand trees in question. And if you look towards the bottom there, this is a better photo, right here,
Pull it down a little bit, uh-huh.
right there, you can see they're connected at the base. So it's kind of a, you know, you can't take one without compromising the other.
So they could be a century old, but we don't know.
We don't
They could
know.
be 50, they could be 25, but, okay. No,
Yeah.
that question has no basis then. So
Correct.
it's just a generality. Thank you very much, sir. Any
Yep.
questions from council members? Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes, can you go back to the site plans?
I guess if I can pull up my. If I knew where the PowerPoint, there we go. So this is alternative site plan 2. You can see the garage and the whole addition has been shifted back to the rear of the, more towards the rear of the property.
And what was the problem with this one?
I didn't see a problem. That's why
Oh,
that's why I was
okay.
inconsistent.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
Okay.
And then this is alternative site plan 2, which just shows the addition without the garage.
And this was also unacceptable?
Yep.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, thank you. That's where I
And then the proposed.
misunderstood. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
He called on site plan 1, 2, and 3. I did A, B, and C.
Wait,
I'm
we
sorry.
need you at the microphone.
Did you have, Ms. Johnson Velez, what? Oh, you would like one of these? Certainly. Oh, here you go. Does the property owner wish to have a copy as well? Sir, did you want to? No?
Thank you. This is for you. Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Please state your name. And you're the representative for MC Graham?
Yes, my name is Carolyn Bennett. I'm the representative, the authorized agent for MC Graham. He referred to site plan 1, 2, and 3. I labeled them A, B, and C, but they're the same thing. The first page is just a blow up because the full site plan is so hard to see. Okay. As I said, my name is Carolyn Bennett. There was a VRB workshop 2 days ago. It was very helpful in clarifying what must be legally considered for the approval of a variance. City Attorney Susan Johnson Velez explained it plainly. The legal requirement to justify a variance is that there is something so unique about the property that it creates a hardship that prohibits reasonable use of the property. Reasonable use, not every conceivable use without limits, reasonable use. She actually used the lack of a garage as a specific example. She said, if you buy a house without a garage, you cannot say, my hardship is I don't have a garage. She explained that the case law for variances is that there must be something unique about the property, not the occupant of the property. If someone feels they must have a garage, that is unique to them, and they need to buy a house with a garage or buy a lot where they can build a garage without a variance. She actually said that. The lack of a garage and the 2 grand trees are a circumstance of the property, not a unique hardship of the property. The lack of a garage does not meet the legal standard of prohibiting reasonable use. No one is owed a garage. Ms. Johnson-Velez further explained that if someone buys a house and then says, now I want a pool or patio or garage, cramming as much as you want on that property is not reasonable use. It is important to understand this distinction. Ms. Johnson-Velez said it is always the applicant's burden to prove that it is not a self-created hardship that is prohibiting reasonable use of their property. Self-created hardship that is prohibiting reasonable use of their property. Mr. Houston bought a lot with 2 grand trees and no garage. Nothing has changed since he bought the lot. So if those facts are creating a hardship that is prohibiting reasonable use of the property, it is a self-created hardship. Mr. Houston has lived there for 5.5 years. The house was built in 1992. People have lived in this house for the last 32 years. That is 32 years of demonstrated reasonable use of this property. Mr. Houston has said he must have a 2-car garage to feel safe. This map shows 1 year's worth of crime. This is his house. I would argue that this map shows very little crime. I have never in my entire life lived in a house with a garage, and I have always felt safe in Tampa. But this map aside, I'm not going to tell Mr. Houston how to feel. If he feels unsafe without a 2-car garage, then that's how he feels. But that makes it a personal requirement for him. And legally, a variance cannot be granted due to a personal desire of the current owner. Case law is clear that a hardship must be something unique to the property, not the occupant. If the lot is not big enough to fulfill whatever the owner feels he needs, then he needs to buy a bigger lot. No one is owed a pool. No one is owed a garage. Mr. Houston has also said that a garage must be flush with the front of his front porch in order to look nice. Besides the fact that this is irrelevant and cannot be the basis for grand tree removal, it is also untrue. A prominent garage at the front of a house is so undesirable it has its own derogatory term, a snout house. Having the front of a house as the dominant feature is so desirable, it is in the West Tampa overlay and other beautiful neighborhoods like Old Hyde Park and Old Northeast and St. Pete. But regardless of that, personal taste is not legal basis for removing grand trees. Look at the alternate plans that Mr. Houston submitted. Both of them show that, in fact, with reasonable configuration, both grand oaks can be saved as the code dictates. Plan B shows an addition without a garage. Boom, there it is. Case closed. No one is owed a garage. Plan C. If Mr. Houston wants a garage, he can have it. This is a huge lot, 70 by 200. It's 1/3 of an acre. You can see by Plan C that he submitted, he can have a garage if he slides everything back. He can still have a big, oversized yard for his kids to play in. Is that better?
Can you see the wheel there?
This one?
Yes. There you go. Now which way works? There you go.
Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, you can see that even if sliding this back, he still has this huge yard for his children to play in. He says he will have to take out other oaks, but the survey shows that isn't true. There is more than enough space for both of the oaks closest to the addition. And again, you can see they're, well, it might be easier to see them on here.
Can you scroll that out?
They're back. If you look on Plan C, these are the other oaks all the way back here. So even with the addition, these two oaks are far enough away that there is no problem. They will not have to be removed. The owner has said he must have a 2-car garage. But even if he gets the variance, what is shown is not a 2-car garage. It is an oversized 1-car garage. It is not big enough for 2 cars if he wants to open the doors. The plan says the exterior of the garage is 21 feet 9 inches. That means the interior is significantly less, about 20 feet. I was at the city council hearing where transportation engineer Jonathan Scott said the interior of a 2-car garage must be at least 24 feet wide. He said if it is less than that, you can only fit 2 cars into it if you climb out of the windows. So that means the plan shows only enough room for 1 car to park in the garage. Mr. Houston's plan A is to create an entrance by cutting a hole in the exterior wall of the kitchen and building a connecting hallway to the addition. With a little tweaking, he can still do that by extending the hallway right here. It will take up a little bit of the garage, but the garage will still be a big 1.5-car garage. Or he can move the door. But I only mention these to show that he has lots of options. Do not make the mistake of getting caught in the trap of designing the house for him. It's not my job and it's not your job. We are not architects and the law does not expect us to design his addition. He has 1/3 of an acre. He has a 200-foot deep lot. If he feels he must have a garage, then any architect can figure out plenty of ways to give him one without a variance. There is an architect on the VRB who said exactly that when she voted to deny this variance. I honestly think the only reason this was approved is because the VRB members, who I remind you are all unpaid volunteers, did not understand the legal parameters before last Tuesday's workshop. They did not understand that no one is owed a garage and the lack of one is not legal grounds for approving the removal of 2 grand trees. The owner wants exactly what he wants, and he only wants it in one place, right on top of 2 grand live oaks that are 42 inches and 47 inches in diameter. If you plant 2 live oaks tomorrow, no one in this room will live to see them reach this size. If they are left alone, these 2 grand oaks will still be there for the next owner and the next and the next, benefiting the entire city long after we are all gone. I want to remind council that Tampa's tree canopy has shrunk to a critical level. I want to remind you that South Tampa's tree canopy has shrunk more than any other part of the city. You can see here, in 5 years, South Tampa lost 6% of its canopy. And this is why. This map was in a 2022 Tampa Bay Times article. It shows the houses that have been bulldozed in South Tampa. Most of them were small, modest homes. They have been replaced with McMansions that are built all the way to the setbacks, leaving no room for trees. Almost every dot on this map represents the loss of critical trees that the whole city needs for cooling, flood mitigation, oxygen, and reduction of stormwater runoff. These trees have a high dollar value to the city. These trees are solid gold infrastructure for us all. Live oaks alone, $953,000 a year in savings to this city. The structural value of live oaks is higher than any other species of tree in the city. They are the workhorses for our city. This is the carbon sequestration in 1 year. Live oaks do more for this city than any other tree. The staff report found this variance inconsistent, and I ask you to find it inconsistent also, and to save these 2 preservation quality grand live oaks, which are the most valuable trees in our city. And I want to show you, they are the rarest trees. You can see the light green is the percentage of trees. You can see how it's lower. The dark green is the percentage of leaf area. You can see that it has the highest leaf area. Because even though they are only 3% of our trees, they do the majority of the work for the benefit of all of us. No one is owed a garage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from council before I go to Mr. Houston? No? All right, thank you very much. Mr. Houston, you are up next. You have 15 minutes to present your case, and from there, we go to cross-examinations if needed. Yes, sir, please state your name.
All right, thank you. My name is Justin Houston. To City Council and our citizens who showed up today, thank you. Thank you all for coming this morning, allowing me to speak to you again about our tree removal request. I want to thank the Variance Review Board for previously approving this request in October. To be clear, I want everyone to know that I have followed the ordinance and the rules associated with this procedure. I have not taken out any trees, and third-party folks are seemingly attacking me rather than trying to change the ordinance. This council at this moment is sitting as an adjudicatory board, not a policy-making board in this moment. So now is not the time for rewriting policy, but rather affirming the VRB's decision. If these groups want to achieve their goals, there are policy-making paths to achieve this. And attacking a lifelong Tampanian trying to provide for his family seems counterproductive. Ms. Bennett, she is not the applicant. She is a third-party, non-attorney, representing a homeowner who may not be present. I don't know if she's present or not. We must focus on actual language and ordinance, not a workshop commentary. We must focus on the language, not an unselected person's commentary. This was not a legal opinion, letter of city attorney office, but hearsay from a workshop that was offered previously. Trees planted today will be full in 40 years. Hopefully I'll be alive when they're still growing. With that said, I understand there are varying perspectives about the removal of these protected oak trees. I understand and appreciate both sides of that argument. I've thought about the people directly impacted with this decision and the VRP's approval. All 4 of my neighbors that would be impacted, Hoker, Pastore, Riley, Bracco, have approved the trees being removed. They've even sent in letters of support that I've submitted to the city clerk's office that Ms. Johnson has received. I've also submitted letters from additional neighbors in support of. Please understand that no one is obligated to write a letter on my behalf, yet they did so in support of the trees being removed. These folks share a fence with me. I also want to point out that 1 out of 53 neighbors filed a petition to appeal the VRB's decision. 1 out of 53. Everybody else is associated with some association. So 1 out of the 53 within 250 feet of my perimeter have filed an appeal. Okay? The other folks, I went over that. For clarity, the purposes for this addition and safety and security. I had an ankle replacement on December 14th, 2021, and now my second neck surgery to repair a herniated disc in late September 2023. I have 6 screws and a plate holding multiple discs together. I showed up to this hearing the first time with a cervical collar on, as I was approximately 2 weeks out of surgery because of the importance that this is to my family. Having our vehicles in a garage would help alleviate a lot of stress for me physically, as I'm no longer proficient navigating slippery surfaces because of my ankles. I have a physician's note on file at work to wear tennis shoes because most professionals have to wear dress shoes, okay? I say I cannot run as it risks destroying my artificial ankle. I say this as it relates to security and having to go outdoors every time to get in a car to travel for any reason. For me to have a bedroom on the first floor, which is part of the addition, will alleviate a significant amount of physical stress I go through. And contrary to my appearance, it is important for you all to know that I do engage in physical rehab 5 to 6 days a week for over an hour at a time. I am owning my physical capabilities and trying to improve shortcomings, not avoiding them. In terms of security, we, our neighborhood, continue to deal with folks coming through and attempting to break into vehicles. The last time I spoke to you, I mentioned this, and over the holidays, my car was left unlocked and my belongings were rummaged through. Cash and coins were taken. Maybe that doesn't mean much to you. It's a security measure to me. Maybe it's my fault for not locking my car, but it happened. I was asked if I brought a police report about crime last time. I did not, and I'm not bringing one this time either. Though I did not report this, it is real, and it would not happen in a garage. As for my wife, she goes to the gym almost every weekday morning of the month to stay physically and mentally healthy. She is up around 4 a.m. and out before 5 a.m. I continue to escort her in the mornings, though she is in better shape than I am. I will also reiterate the fact that there are snakes, raccoons, possums on our property at all times. A 2-car garage would eliminate the fear of dealing with these animals on the daily. We don't harm these animals, we live with them. As we move on, it is important to recognize my concern regarding the treatment I receive from the folks that are not my neighbors that are in this room. The last time I was here, I was referred to as selfish, ignorant, and stupid. Please remember this. I am not a contractor who is trying to build multi-residential units. This is not for monetary gain. I believe in the constructive conversations and civil discourse, so I'm not going to entertain the idea of someone actually believing that I am stupid, selfish, and ignorant. I've been a teacher for 20 years. For what it's worth, as a teacher, I get 2 personal days a year, and I'm using one to be with you today. I did leave my 6th grade daughter's play today as well to be here. I'm a product of the University of South Florida and hold an undergraduate and graduate degree from that incredible institution. I am also heavily involved in the Tampa community as a Little League coach at Inter Bay Little League. I've also coached at Tampa Bay Little League and Palmacia Little League, and I coach a flag football team at Under Armour Rise with kids from across the city on it. I performed internships at Leto and Jefferson High School. I coached varsity baseball at Pop Cuesta, Jefferson's legendary baseball coach, for 3 years. I worked at La Segunda Central Bakery for Tony Moore, the late, great Tony Moore, and delivered bread for him at 5:30 every morning while at USF. In the afternoons, I worked as a waiter and cook at Leroy Selman's. My point? Everything I know, everything I've learned, and everything I do is about the people and children of Tampa. So yes, selfish, ignorant, and stupid, that's me. That's what some people want you to believe. What is important for me to convey to you that I am a product of Tampa and an active member in this community. I've been a part of Pediatric Cancer Foundation, the First T, Art Resolution Therapy. I've worked with City Council to even get a stop sign at Russell and Bay, the intersection where I live, for the safety of children. You have heard that there are different ways to build our addition. There are. I recognize that and reiterate that no matter what someone tells you to do, trees are going to come down. Frankly, I filed an exception for our driveway design that allows us to keep trees upright. I don't want to cut them down. I also don't want to put an addition onto a house that leaves a gap and looks comical and serves as an eyesore to the Ballast Point